The wind moves across the valley floor. It is a slow, steady current of air, invisible to the eye but felt by the world. It carries the distinct, sharp scent of frost. There is no moisture in this wind, only the dry, biting chill of a northern winter. It passes over the tops of the pine trees, thousands of them standing like silent sentinels in the fading light. The trees do not sway. They are heavy with snow. The snow has been falling for days, layer upon layer, pressing down on the branches until they are still. Below the tree line, the ground is a vast expanse of white. It is perfectly smooth in places where the wind has leveled the drifts. In other places, it is uneven, rising over hidden rocks and fallen logs, but everything is covered. Everything is uniform. The world has been simplified by the winter. There are no bright colors here. There is only the white of the snow, the deep green of the pine needles, and the gray of the heavy sky. The sky is a flat sheet of slate. It hangs low over the earth, promising more snow, but not yet. For now, the air is clear. In the middle of this white landscape sits the fortress. It is a Roman castrum, a permanent fort built to withstand the elements and the passage of time. The walls are made of stone and turf, thick and solid. They form a perfect rectangle against the chaotic nature of the forest. The snow has piled up against the base of the walls, creating a soft ramp that leads nowhere. The stones themselves are cold to the touch. If you were to place your hand against the rough surface of the wall, you would feel the chill seep into your skin immediately. The stone has absorbed the winter. It holds the cold. It radiates a quiet, heavy presence. On top of the wall, a figure stands. It is a soldier. He is a legionary of the Empire, but right now he is simply a man standing in the cold. He is wrapped in layers of wool. His heavy cloak, the sagum, is dyed a dull, brownish red. The fabric is thick, woven tightly to repel the wind. It is heavy on his shoulders. The weight is comforting. It is a barrier between his body and the freezing air. He has pulled the cloak tight around himself, pinning it at his shoulder with a brass fibula. The metal of the pin is cold, but he does not touch it. His hands are tucked inside the folds of the wool. He does not move. There is no need to move. There is no enemy. There is no threat. There is only the winter. The soldier looks out over the parapet, his eyes scanning the tree line, but he is not truly looking for anything. He is simply watching the daylight fade. The sun has already dipped below the horizon, unseen behind the gray clouds. The light is changing from the flat white of the afternoon to the blue hues of the early evening. This is the twilight hour, the time when the world becomes even quieter. Inside the fort, the routine is slow. The camp is designed for order. Rows of barracks stand in precise lines. The roofs are angled steeply to shed the snow. Shingles made of wood are dark with dampness. From the eaves of the roofs, long icicles hang. They are clear as glass, tapering to sharp points. Occasionally, a drop of water forms at the tip of an icicle. It hangs there for a long moment, catching the fading light before it falls silently into the snow below. Drop, pause, drop. It is a slow rhythm. It matches the beating of your heart, slow, steady, calm. There is nothing you need to do right now. You are simply observing the winter in a time long past. You are safe. You are warm. The cold of this ancient winter cannot touch you. It is merely a story, a drifting image in your mind. The soldier on the wall shifts his weight. The leather of his sandals, the caligy, creaks softly. The sound is swallowed by the vast silence of the air. The soles of his sandals are thick, studded with iron hobnails. The iron bites into the wood of the walkway, giving him grip. But the wood is frozen. The iron is frozen. Beneath his feet, he wears thick socks made of felted wool. He can feel the texture of the wool against his skin. It is scratchy, but it is warm. The warmth is concentrated around his feet, fighting against the chill that rises from the ground. He breathes out. A cloud of white mist escapes his lips. It hovers in the air for a second, a ghostly shape, before it dissipates into nothing. He breathes in. The air is sharp in his nose. It smells of wood smoke. Somewhere deep inside the fort, fires are burning. The smoke rises from the vents in the barracks' roofs. It is a thin, gray smoke. It rises straight up in the still air, climbing higher and higher until it blends with the gray of the sky. The smell of the smoke is comforting. It smells of pine and oak. It smells of safety. It reminds the soldier that his shift is almost over. Soon he will descend from the wall. He will walk across the crunching snow of the Via Sagularis, the perimeter road. He will open the heavy wooden door of his barracks. He will step into the warmth, but not yet. For now he stands. He waits. The waiting is his duty. The waiting is his life. Down in the courtyard, another soldier is walking. He is moving slowly. He carries a bucket made of wood bound with iron hoops. The bucket is full of water. The water sloshes gently with each step he takes. He is careful not to spill it. If the water spills, it will freeze on the ground, creating a patch of ice. He walks with a deliberate, flat-footed gait. Crunch, crunch, crunch. His footsteps break the crust of the snow. The sound is crisp. It is the only sound in the courtyard. The soldier reaches a trough near the stables. He lifts the bucket. The muscles in his arm tense under his tunic. He pours the water. The sound of the pouring water is loud in the silence. It gurgles and splashes. Steam rises from the trough as the relatively warmer water hits the frozen wood. The horses inside the stable are quiet. Perhaps they are sleeping. Perhaps they are simply standing, waiting out the winter just like the men. The light is getting dimmer. The blue of the twilight is deepening into a bruised purple. The edges of the buildings are losing their sharpness. They are becoming shadows. The world is turning into silhouettes. The soldier with the bucket turns and walks back the way he came. His task is done. It was a small task, a necessary task, a boring task, but it is finished. Let your mind rest on the simplicity of that task, carrying water, pouring water, walking back. There is no complexity here. There is no strategy to plan. There are no decisions to make. Just the simple, repetitive motion of daily life. Inside the barracks, the air is different. It is thick. It is heavy. It smells of unwashed wool, of leather oil, of dried herbs, and of men. But primarily it smells of warmth. A hearth sits in the center of the room. The fire is low, a bed of glowing red embers with a few small logs placed on top. The flames lick at the bark of the wood. They are small flames, orange and yellow. They dance slowly. They cast long, flickering shadows on the walls. A soldier sits on a wooden bench near the fire. He is not the sentry from the wall. He is off duty. He has removed his armor. The larica segmentata, the segmented plate armor, sits on a stand behind him. The metal gleams dully in the firelight. It is polished, but it is resting now. The soldier is wearing his tunic. It is a simple garment made of undyed wool, reaching down to his knees. It is belted at the waist. He is holding a piece of equipment in his hands. It is a belt buckle. It is made of bronze. He holds a small rag in his hand. He dips the rag into a small clay pot of oil. He rubs the bronze. Rub, rub, rub. Small circles, over and over again. He is not cleaning it because it is dirty. He is cleaning it because it is what he does. It is a way to pass the time. It is a way to keep his hands busy. He watches the oil sheen on the metal. He watches the firelight reflect in the bronze. He is focused on this tiny object. The rest of the world has faded away. There is no empire. There is no emperor. There is only the bronze buckle and the rag. He works slowly. There is no rush. The winter night is long. It has barely begun. He has hours before he needs to sleep. Or perhaps he will sleep soon. It does not matter. The time stretches out before him, vast and empty like the snow-covered fields outside. Beside him, another man is mending a tunic. He holds a bone needle. He pushes it through the thick fabric. It takes effort. The fabric is tough. He pulls the thread through. A long strand of wool follows the needle. He pulls it tight. Then he pushes the needle back through. Up and down, in and out. The rhythm of the needle is hypnotic. The room is quiet. There is no conversation. The men know each other too well. They have said everything there is to say. They are content to sit in silence. The silence is not awkward. It is a companionable silence. It is a shared understanding of the cold outside and the warmth inside. Occasionally, a log in the fire shifts. It settles into the ash with a soft hush sound. Sparks fly up the chimney, vanishing into the dark. The light in the room is dim. It comes only from the fire and a single oil lamp placed on a low table. The oil lamp is made of terracotta. It is simple, unadorned. A small flame burns at the spout. The wick is black and charred. The flame is shaped like a teardrop. It is steady. It does not flicker, for there is no wind in here. The light from the lamp illuminates the texture of the wooden table. You can see the grain of the wood. You can see the small scratches and dents from years of use. Focus on the flame of the lamp. It is a tiny point of light in the darkness. It is warm. It is constant. It draws your eye. If you stare at it long enough, your eyelids might begin to feel heavy. That is okay. You do not need to keep your eyes open. The soldier cleaning his buckle does not look up. The soldier mending his tunic does not look up. They are in their own world, a world of slow, methodical tasks. Outside, the darkness is now complete. The sun is gone. The moon has not yet risen. The sky is a void of charcoal gray. The snow on the ground seems to glow faintly, reflecting the little starlight that manages to pierce the clouds. The wind has picked up slightly. It whistles around the corners of the buildings. It rattles the wooden shutters on the windows. Rattle creak. It is a lonely sound, but inside the walls are thick. The wind cannot get in. The soldiers are safe. Let us return to the sentry on the wall. His shift is ending. He sees a lantern approaching from the stairs. It is the relief guard. The light of the lantern swings back and forth. The footsteps of the new guard are slow and heavy. They crunch on the snow. The two men meet. They do not salute. They do not shout. They simply nod, a quiet acknowledgement. Cold night, the new guard might whisper, though the words are barely audible. Aye, cold, the first guard replies. That is all. The exchange is done. The first guard turns. He begins to walk toward the stairs. His legs are stiff from standing. He moves carefully. He descends the stone steps. The stone is slippery with frost. He holds the wooden railing. The wood is smooth, worn down by thousands of hands over the years. He feels the grain of the wood under his palm. He reaches the ground level. He walks toward his barracks. The snow is deeper here where the wind has drifted it against the buildings. He lifts his knees high to step through it. He reaches the door. He lifts the latch. It is made of iron. It is heavy. He lifts it with a clack. He pushes the door open. Warm air rushes out to meet him. It wraps around his face. It thaws his frozen eyelashes. He steps inside and closes the door behind him. The wind is shut out. The silence of the winter night is left behind. He is inside now. He begins to unfasten his cloak. His fingers are numb, so he moves slowly. He fumbles with the fibula pin. Finally, it comes loose. The heavy wool cloak slides from his shoulders. He catches it. He folds it. He does this with great care. He folds it once, twice. He places it on a shelf. He sits down on his bunk. The mattress is stuffed with straw. It rustles as he sits. It is not soft, but it is not hard. It is familiar. He leans forward and begins to undo the laces of his sandals. The leather thongs are stiff with cold. He picks at them, slowly, patiently. There is no hurry. The night is just beginning. The routine will continue. Nothing unexpected will happen. The snow will keep falling. The fire will keep burning. The soldiers will keep breathing, slow and steady, waiting for the morning that is hours and hours away. Everything is still. Everything is quiet. Everything is frozen in time. As you listen, imagine the weight of that silence. Imagine the heavy woolen blankets. Imagine the dim orange light. The world is asleep. The Roman Empire is asleep. And you too can drift along with the falling snow. There is a pile of firewood stacked against the wall near the hearth. The logs are cut from pine and fir. The bark is rough. Some pieces still have patches of dried moss clinging to them. The wood is dry. It is ready to burn. The soldier who was cleaning the buckle stands up. He moves to the woodpile. He selects a log. He weighs it in his hand. It feels solid. He walks to the fire. He places the log gently onto the embers. He does not throw it. He places it. He wants to disturb the fire as little as possible. The log settles. For a moment, nothing happens. Then a small tongue of blue flame licks at the bottom of the log. The bark begins to crackle. A soft popping sound. The scent of burning pine resin grows slightly stronger. It is a clean, sharp smell. It mixes with the smell of the oil lamp. The soldier sits back down. He picks up his buckle again. He picks up his rag. He continues to rub, 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 rub. The repetition is endless. It is soothing. It is the heartbeat of the room. In the corner of the barracks there is a small shrine, a lararium. It is a small wooden shelf mounted on the wall. On it stand two small figurines made of clay. They are the household gods, the spirits that protect this place. They are crude, simple figures. They cast long shadows in the lamplight. A small bowl sits in front of them. It contains a few grains of spelt wheat and a pinch of salt. An offering, a request for a quiet night. The gods, like the soldiers, are silent. They watch the room with painted eyes. They watch the sleeping men. They watch the fire. The winter outside is vast. It covers the hills and the valleys. It covers the roads that lead to Rome. Those roads are empty now. No carts travel them. No messengers ride them. The snow has closed the world. The fort is an island in a sea of white. Isolation is usually frightening, but here tonight it is peaceful. It means no one is coming. It means there are no demands. It means the world has stopped. You can stop too. You can stop thinking. You can stop planning. You can be like the soldier with the rag, just a simple motion, just a simple moment, existing, breathing, resting. The oil in the lamp lowers imperceptibly. The night deepens. The breathing of the men in the bunks becomes deeper, more rhythmic. Some are already asleep. Their chests rise and fall under their blankets. Inhale, exhale. The sound of their breathing blends with the wind outside. It creates a tapestry of white noise, a blanket of sound to wrap around your mind. And so the evening fully settles into the night. The transition is complete. The day is gone. The sun is a distant memory. There is only the here and now, the warmth of the fire, the smell of the wood, the quiet of the snow. The night deepens. The heavy blanket of snow continues to thicken outside the barracks walls. We leave the sleeping soldiers now. We leave the gentle sound of their breathing and the fading embers of their hearth. We drift back out into the cold, moving silently across the Via Sagularis. The snow here is untouched since the last patrol passed. It is a smooth, white canvas, faintly illuminated by the gray light of the clouded sky. There is a large building near the center of the fort. It stands taller than the barracks. It is the Horium, the granary. It is the lifeline of the legion. Without the grain stored within these walls, the winter would be impossible to survive. The building is designed to keep the cold and the damp at bay. The floor is raised off the ground, supported by short, sturdy pillars of stone. This allows the air to circulate beneath the floorboards, keeping the grain dry and cool. We drift through the heavy wooden doors. They are not locked, but they are barred against the wind. Inside, the air is different. It does not smell of pine or smoke. It smells of dust. It smells of dry earth and harvested fields. It is a dry, golden smell that feels out of place in the frozen winter night. It is the smell of a summer that has long since passed, preserved here in the dark. A single lantern hangs from a central beam. The beam is a massive trunk of oak, hewn rough and dark with age. The lantern casts a sphere of weak yellow light. Outside this circle, the corners of the granary are lost in shadow. Rows of large sacks are stacked almost to the ceiling. They are made of coarse burlap and canvas. The fabric is rough to the touch. If you were to run your hand along a sack, you would feel the weave of the material, the scratchy texture of the fibers. A soldier is here on duty. He is the horarius, the keeper of the granary. His job tonight is simple. He must ensure that the roof is holding under the weight of the snow. He must ensure there are no leaks. He walks slowly down the central aisle between the towering stacks of grain. Step, pause. He holds a long wooden pole. He taps the ceiling beams gently. Thud, thud. The sound is dull. It is a solid sound. The wood is holding. There is no creaking. There is no straining. The structure is sound. The soldier is satisfied. He stops walking. He leans against a stack of sacks. He crosses his arms. He is wearing his heavy cloak, for there is no fire in the granary. Fire is too dangerous here. The air is cold, but it is a dry cold, easier to bear than the damp wind outside. He looks at the grain, thousands of sacks. Inside each sack are millions of kernels of wheat, spelt, barley. Each kernel is hard and small. Together they form a heavy, shifting mass. The soldier listens. Sometimes the grain settles. It makes a sound like a soft whisper. Shhh. Like sand sliding down a dune. It is the only sound in the room. He reaches out and touches a sack. The fabric is cold. He presses his thumb against it. The grain inside yields slightly, then packs tight. It is solid. It is secure. He brushes a speck of dust from his sleeve. The dust floats in the lantern light. It dances in the air, swirling in slow currents that are invisible to the eye, up and down, spinning slowly. Finally, it settles on the floor. There is nothing else to do here. The grain is safe. The rats are hiding from the cold. The roof is strong. The soldier closes his eyes for a moment. He breathes in the dusty air. It coats the back of his throat. It is a familiar taste. It tastes of bread not yet baked. Let us leave the dry silence of the granary. Let us move to a place of warmth, a place of activity. Behind the granary there is a low building with a stone chimney that is always active. Even at this late hour, a thin wisp of smoke rises from it, instantly lost in the dark sky. This is the bakery. The Legion needs bread. Bread for the morning. Bread for the march, though there is no marching in winter. Bread is the fuel of the Empire. Inside, the temperature is drastically different. It is hot. The heat hits you like a physical wall. It is a humid, yeasty heat. The air is thick with the smell of sourdough and wood ash. 2 large ovens are built into the back wall. They are domed structures made of brick and clay. Inside them, fires are burning. Not the small, decorative fires of the barracks, but deep, intense fires meant to soak the bricks with heat. 2 men are working here. They are stripped to their tunics, their sleeves rolled up to their elbows. Their arms are dusted with white flour. Their faces are flushed from the heat. They do not speak. They know the rhythm of the work. One man stands at a large wooden table. The table is made of smooth, polished maple. It is covered in a dusting of flour. A large mound of dough sits in the center. It is a pale beige color. It is a massive lump of water and flour and starter. The man plunges his hands into the dough. Push, fold, turn. It is a heavy physical motion. The dough is dense. It resists him. He has to put his weight into it. He leans forward, pressing the heels of his hands into the soft mass. The table creaks slightly under the pressure. Creak, push. He folds the dough over itself. He turns it a quarter turn. He pushes again. The rhythm is hypnotic. It is like the tide coming in and going out. Slow, powerful, relentless. Push, fold, turn. He is not thinking about the cold outside. He is not thinking about the war that might come in the spring. He is only thinking about the elasticity of the dough. He is feeling for the change in texture. He is waiting for it to become smooth and springy. It takes time. Bread cannot be rushed. The yeast needs time to work. The gluten needs time to stretch. Focus on the sound of his hands against the dough. A soft thump as he throws it down. A wet squelch as he works the air bubbles out. It is a comforting, domestic sound. The other man is tending the ovens. He holds a long wooden peel, a shovel-like tool for moving bread. He scrapes the ashes from the floor of the oven. Scrape, scrape. The sound of wood on brick. It is a gritty sound. He pulls a pile of glowing embers to the front of the oven, then pushes them to the side. The interior of the oven glows with a dull, menacing red. The heat radiates outward, shimmering the air. He takes a rag soaked in water. He ties it to the end of a pole. He mops the floor of the oven. Hiss. Steam erupts instantly as the wet rag touches the hot bricks. The steam billows out, smelling of wet stone. It vanishes into the rafters. The man repeats the motion. He is cleaning the surface where the bread will sit. He moves with a slow, practiced efficiency. There is no wasted energy. Every movement has a purpose. The flour dust hangs in the air here too, but it is different from the dust in the granary. It is white and soft. It settles on everything. It settles on the eyebrows of the bakers. It settles on the floor. It softens the edges of the room. It makes the bakery feel like a dream, hazy and indistinct. You can imagine the warmth of this room. You can feel the heat on your skin, relaxing your muscles. The tension in your shoulders melts away in the presence of the ovens. The smell of the yeast is heavy and calming. It is a primitive smell, a smell that humans have known for thousands of years. It signals safety. It signals food. It signals that everything is all right. The man at the table stops kneading. He steps back. He wipes his forehead with the back of his arm. He looks at the dough. It is smooth now. It is ready to rest. He picks up a linen cloth. It is stained with old flour. He shakes it out. He covers the dough gently. Now they must wait. The dough must rise. There is a period of stillness in the bakery. The men sit on stools near the ovens. They stare into the red glow of the embers. They do not talk. They simply wait. The fire crackles softly. The heat wraps around them. The night outside seems 1,000,000 miles away. We leave them to their waiting. We slip out of the warm, yeasty air back into the corridor. The cold rushes back, but it feels less biting now. We are moving towards the edge of the fort, towards the stabulum, the stables. The stables are long, low buildings made of timber. They are situated near the walls, away from the officers' quarters. As we approach, the smell changes again. It is a pungent, earthy smell. The smell of straw, of manure, of leather, and of warm animal bodies. It is a strong smell, but it is not unpleasant. It is the smell of life. Inside, it is dark. The only light comes from a single lantern hanging on a hook near the entrance. The stable is divided into stalls. In each stall, a horse stands. These are the horses of the cavalry auxiliaries, or perhaps the mounts of the officers. They are large beasts, their winter coats thick and fuzzy. Most of the horses are asleep. Horses can sleep standing up, locking their legs in place. They are statues in the darkness. Their heads droop low. Their eyes are closed or half closed. Whoosh, whoosh. It is the sound of their breathing. It is much louder than the breathing of the men in the barracks. It is a deep, resonant sound. Huge lungs filling with air and emptying slowly. You can hear the air whistling softly through their nostrils. Occasionally, a horse shifts its weight. A hoof stamps on the straw-covered floor. Thud. And then silence returns. A stable hand is awake. He is a young man, perhaps not even a soldier yet, just a servant. He is walking slowly down the aisle. He carries a brush. He stops at a stall where a gray mare is awake. She looks at him with large, liquid eyes. She does not move away. She knows him. He opens the gate quietly. The latch is well oiled. It makes no sound. He steps inside. The horse is warm. She radiates heat like a furnace. The stable hand runs his hand along her neck. Her coat is coarse and thick for the winter. He begins to brush her. Brush, swipe, brush, swipe. The bristles of the brush rasp against the hair. It is a rhythmic scratching sound. Scritch, scritch. Dust and loose hair fly up in small clouds. The horse leans into the pressure. She enjoys it. She lowers her head further. She chews on nothing, her jaw moving slowly side to side. Crunch, crunch. Even though she is not eating, the sound of her teeth meeting is audible. The stable hand moves down her flank. He is thorough. He takes his time. He is not grooming her for a parade. He is grooming her because it comforts her and it passes the time for him. The repetitive motion is soothing. His arm moves back and forth, like a pendulum. The stable is warmer than the outside, but not as hot as the bakery. It is a cozy warmth, generated by the bodies of 30 horses. The air is humid. Mist hangs near the roof. The young man murmurs to the horse. Low, nonsensical sounds. Easy now, steady, good girl. His voice is a low rumble. It blends with the breathing of the other horses. It is not meant to be heard. It is just a vibration in the air. He moves to her legs. He checks her hooves. He lifts one leg. The horse balances on 3 legs without issue. He inspects the iron shoe. It is cold and hard. He picks out a piece of packed mud with a small hook. The mud falls to the straw. He sets the hoof down. Clop, softly on the straw. He pats her neck, a solid rhythmic patting, pat, pat, pat. Sleep now, he whispers. He steps out of the stall and latches the gate. He leans against the wooden post. He yawns. The yawn stretches his jaw. He rubs his eyes. The lantern light is dimming. The oil is running low. He will need to refill it soon, but not yet. For now, the semi-darkness is perfect. The horses are safe. They are fed. They are watered. They are warm. There is a sense of immense peace in a stable at night. These large, powerful animals capable of charging into battle are now completely docile. They are vulnerable. They trust the walls. They trust the roof. They trust the boy with the brush. Listen to the stable sounds. The rustle of dry straw as a horse lies down. The soft snort of a sleeping animal clearing its nose. The creak of the wooden beams overhead as the wind presses against the roof. It is a symphony of calm. There is a bucket of water in the corner. The surface of the water is still. It reflects the single lantern flame. It is a perfect mirror. A fly, miraculously alive in this winter, lands on the rim of the bucket. It crawls slowly. It stops. It cleans its wings. It flies away. The water remains undisturbed. The stable hand sits on a bale of hay. The hay pricks through his tunic, but he doesn't mind. It is soft beneath him. He leans his head back against the wall. He listens to the wind howling outside. It sounds angry. It sounds hungry. But it cannot get in here. Here, there is only the smell of hay and the sound of breathing. Let your mind rest here in the straw. Imagine the smell, sweet, dry grass, earth, leather. Imagine the warmth of the large animal nearby. You are protected. You are hidden away from the storm. The timeline of the night moves forward, inch by inch, minute by minute. The sand in the hourglass trickles down, grain by grain. There is so much night left. There is no morning in sight, just the endless, comforting dark. The stable hand closes his eyes. His breathing slows down. He matches the rhythm of the horses. Inhale, exhale, deep, slow, heavy. The lantern flickers once, twice. Then it steadies again. The shadows dance on the walls, stretching and shrinking. Long horse heads, long wooden posts. The shadows play out a slow, silent drama that no one is watching. Outside, the snow has begun to drift against the stable door. It piles up inch by inch, sealing the cracks, insulating the building. The world is burying the fort in white. Soft, cold, silent white. We stay here for a moment longer, just listening. Just watching the dust motes in the lantern light, just existing in this pocket of warmth surrounded by the frozen empire. There is nothing to worry about. The legions are at rest. The horses are at rest. The bakers are waiting for the dough. The guard is watching the grain. Everyone has their place. Everyone is doing their duty. The system works. The machine of the empire turns even in its sleep, slowly, silently. You are part of this quiet now. You are safe within the walls. We leave the stables now. We leave the rhythmic chewing of the horses and the smell of dry straw. We step back out into the night. The snow is falling harder. The flakes are larger now, clustering together into soft clumps of white that drift lazily to the ground. The wind has died down slightly, leaving a hush over the fort. The silence is profound. It is a blanket that covers everything. We walk across the frozen ground. Our destination is a building made of brick and stone, one that sits low to the ground but occupies a large footprint near the center of the complex. Even from the outside, you can tell this building is different. The snow on its roof does not pile up as high as it does on the barracks. In places, the roof tiles are bare, wet, and steaming. The heat from within is escaping, melting the winter away. This is the thermi, the bathhouse. For a Roman soldier, this is not a luxury. It is a necessity. It is the place where the cold is finally defeated. It is the place where the dirt of the frontier is washed away. We approach the rear of the building first. Here, the snow is melted into a muddy slush. A small linta structure is attached to the main wall. This is the prefernium, the furnace room. It is the heart of the bathhouse. It is the engine that drives the warmth. Inside, a man is working. He is a slave, perhaps captured years ago, now a fixture of the camp. His skin is stained with soot. He moves with a slow, deliberate cadence. He is the stoker of the fires. In front of him is the mouth of the furnace. It is a brick archway, black with years of smoke. Inside, a fire burns. It is a deep, glowing bed of charcoal and oak logs. The heat in this small room is intense. It is a dry, scorching heat. The man does not mind. He is used to it. He picks up a shovel. It is made of iron with a long wooden handle. He digs into a pile of charcoal, scrape. The sound of the shovel against the stone floor is gritty. He lifts the load. He pauses. He swings the shovel forward. Whoosh. Scatter. The charcoal lands on the fire. Sparks fly up, swirling in the draft before disappearing into the flue. He does not rush. The fire needs to be maintained, not smothered. He watches the coals glow brighter as the fresh fuel catches. The light pulses. Orange, red, yellow. It illuminates the sweat on his forehead. He wipes it away with a rag. He sits back on a low stool. He stares into the fire. The heat he creates here does not stay here. It flows, it travels, it moves through the hypocaust system. Imagine the floor of the bathhouse. It is not solid ground. The floor is suspended on hundreds of small pillars made of stacked tiles. Beneath the floor there is a hollow space. The hot air from this furnace flows into that space. It circulates under the feet of the bathers. It heats the stone from below. It climbs up through hollow clay pipes inside the walls. The entire building is a living, breathing radiator. Let us follow the heat. Let us leave the soot of the furnace room and enter the bathhouse proper. We enter through a heavy wooden door. The transition is immediate. The biting cold of the winter night vanishes. We are in the apoditerium, the changing room. The air here is lukewarm. It is quiet. The room is lined with wooden benches, worn smooth by thousands of bodies sitting and standing. Above the benches are niches, cubbyholes carved into the stone walls. Most of the niches are empty. It is late, but a few contain folded tunics, a pair of sandals, a belt. A soldier is here. He has just finished his shift. He sits on the bench. He is naked, save for a towel wrapped around his waist. He is staring at the floor. The floor is a mosaic, small tiles of white and black stone arranged in a geometric pattern. Focus on the pattern, a square. Within the square, a circle. Within the circle, a flower. The soldier traces the line of the pattern with his eyes, round and round. It is a simple maze. It calms the mind. He leans forward and unstraps his sandals. Click, snap. The leather falls away. He places his bare feet on the floor. Ah, the stone is warm. The heat from the furnace has traveled all the way here. It seeps into the soles of his feet. It travels up his ankles. It is a gentle, radiating warmth. It feels like standing on sun-baked rocks in the middle of summer, a memory of Italy in this frozen northern land. He stands up. He leaves his clothes in a niche. He walks through an archway. He enters the tepidarium, the warm room. The air here is warmer. It is not hot but comfortable. It is the temperature of the human body. The light is dim. Oil lamps are set in recesses in the walls. Their flames are still, casting long, soft shadows. The walls are painted a deep red, a color that feels warm to the eye. The room is empty. The soldier is alone. He walks to the center of the room. His footsteps echo slightly. Pad, 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 bare feet on warm stone. The sound is soft, fleshy. He finds a spot on a marble bench. He sits. He leans back against the wall. The wall, too, is warm. The hot air rising through the pipes behind the plaster heats the surface. He closes his eyes. He lets the warmth soak into his back. He lets his shoulders drop. The tension of holding the heavy shield, of wearing the heavy armor, begins to melt away. There is no water in this room, just warm air, just silence. The only sound is the distant, muffled sound of the furnace draft, a low hum that is felt more than heard. It is a white noise, a background vibration that signals safety. Hum. He sits there for a long time. There is no hurry. The bathhouse is open all night for the guard. He has nowhere to be. He has nothing to do. He is simply existing in the warmth. After a while he stands. He moves to the next room, the caldarium, the hot room. As he pushes the heavy leather curtain aside, a cloud of steam billows out. It wraps around him like a ghost. The air here is hot, very hot. It is humid. Moisture hangs in the air, thick and heavy. You can taste the water in the air. Visibility is low. The steam swirls in slow, lazy currents. The oil lamps here appear as glowing halos, their distinct flames obscured by the mist. The ceiling is a vaulted dome. It curves high above. Condensation collects on the ceiling. Water droplets form on the plaster. They grow heavy. They hang for a moment, defying gravity. Then they fall. Drip, splash. They land on the tiled floor. Drip, splash. The sound echoes in the damp air. It is a cavernous sound. Drip, drip, drip. The soldier steps into the room. His skin instantly glistens with moisture. The heat presses against him. It opens his pores. It relaxes his muscles deeply. He walks towards the Ambience, the hot water pool. It is a large, rectangular basin sunken into the floor. The water is steaming. It is clear but looks dark in the dim light. He steps down, one step. The water covers his ankles. It is hot, bordering on scalding but pleasurable. 2 steps. The water covers his knees. 3 steps. He sinks into the water. It rises to his chest. He exhales a long, slow breath. H-H-H-ha. He sits on the underwater bench. The water comes up to his neck. He is weightless. The water supports him. His limbs float gently. He is suspended in heat. The cold winter outside is now a myth. It is impossible to believe that snow exists while sitting in this water. He closes his eyes. He listens to the room. The water laps gently against the sides of the pool. Lap, lap. Small waves created by his movement settle down. The surface becomes glass again. Somewhere in the room, a pipe drips. Plink, plink. It is a rhythmic, metronomic sound. It marks the passing of time. Plink. Second by second. Plink. Minute by minute. He lifts his hand from the water. Water cascades off his arm. Splash. Trickle. He wipes his face. The water is hot on his skin. He leans his head back against the rim of the pool. He stares up into the steam. He watches the swirling patterns. They look like clouds. They look like spirits. They shift and change, never the same shape twice. The heat makes him drowsy. His breathing becomes slow and shallow. The damp air is heavy in his lungs. It is soothing. It clears the head. It softens the thoughts. There is no strategy here. There are no orders. There is only the sensation of hot water and the smell of wet stone. A slave enters the room quietly. He carries a strigil, a curved metal tool, and a small jar of olive oil. He approaches the soldier. He does not speak. The soldier nods. The slave pours a little oil into his hand. It is scented with lavender. The smell blooms in the hot, humid air. It is a floral, sweet scent that cuts through the heavy steam. The slave begins to rub the oil onto the soldier's shoulders. Rub, rub, slow circles, working the oil into the skin. Then he takes the strigil. He gently scrapes the skin. Scrape, scrape. It removes the oil, the sweat, the dirt. It is a grooming ritual. It is repetitive. Scrape, wipe, scrape, wipe. The sound is soft, metal against skin, but not sharp. It is a friction sound. The soldier does not move. He lets the slave work. It is a passive experience. He is being cared for. For a brief moment, he is not a weapon of the empire. He is just a man. The slave finishes. He bows slightly and retreats into the mist. The soldier is alone again. He sinks back into the water. The ripples spread out, bouncing off the sides of the pool, then fading into nothing. He stays there for what feels like hours. Maybe it is. Time moves differently in the caldarium. The heat slows everything down. The heart beats slower. The mind moves slower. Eventually, the heat becomes too much. It is time to cool down. He stands up slowly. Water streams off his body. He steps out of the pool. He feels heavy, as if gravity has increased. He walks towards the door on the far side. He enters the frigidarium, the cold room. The shock is immediate but refreshing. The air here is cool, not freezing like outside, but crisp. The room is high-ceilinged. In the center is a circular pool of cold water. The surface is black and still. It looks like a mirror of obsidian. He does not jump in. That would be too jarring. He walks to a smaller basin on a pedestal. He cups his hands. He splashes cold water on his face. Splash. He gasps softly. The cold tightens his skin. It closes the pores. It wakes him up, but in a calm, clarified way. He feels clean. He feels new. He wraps a dry towel around himself. The linen is rough, scrubbing his skin dry. He walks back to the apoditerium. The changing room is now empty. The other soldier has left. He sits on the bench again. He begins to dress. He pulls on his tunic. It feels warm, having been sitting in the niche. He puts on his socks. He straps on his sandals. Lace, pull, tie, lace, pull, tie. He moves slowly. He is clean. He is warm to the core. The heat of the bath will stay with him for hours. It will protect him when he walks back to his barracks. He picks up his belt. The metal buckle clinks against the bench. Clink. He fastens it. He is ready. He walks to the door. He pushes it open. The winter night greets him. The cold air rushes at him, but he is armored against it now. He radiates heat. He breathes out, and a massive cloud of steam escapes his lungs, mingling with the falling snow. He walks back across the compound. The snow crunches under his clean sandals. The camp is darker now. More lights have gone out. The moon is trying to break through the clouds. A faint, silvery glow illuminates the tops of the clouds. He reaches his barracks. He opens the door. The familiar smell of wood smoke and sleeping men welcomes him. He walks to his bunk. He lies down. The straw mattress feels softer now. His muscles are loose. His mind is empty. He pulls the heavy wool blanket up to his chin. He stares at the ceiling beams. He listens to the wind outside. It is a distant song, a lullaby, woo-woo-wash. The bathhouse behind him continues its work. The slave in the furnace room throws another shovel of charcoal onto the fire. Scrape, whoosh, crackle. The water in the caldarium continues to steam. The droplets continue to fall. Drip, drip, drip. The cycle continues. The heat flows, the water flows. The empire survives the winter, one bath at a time. Let your mind drift back to the image of the steam. White, soft, enveloping, it covers everything. It hides everything. It is a blanket of cloud. You are floating in it. You are weightless. The stone is warm beneath you. The air is warm around you. There is nothing cold here. There is nothing sharp. Only soft edges. Only water. Only steam. Imagine the sound of the water dripping into the pool. Plink. Wait for it. Plink. And another plink. It is the slowest clock in the world. It counts down to nothing. It counts down to sleep. The soldier in the bunk turns onto his side. He closes his eyes. Within moments, his breathing deepens. He joins the chorus of sleepers. The fort is a hive of resting souls, protected by stone walls and warm fires. Outside, the snow begins to cover the footprints the soldier just made. Slowly, the indentations fill with white flakes. The edges soften. The evidence of his passing is erased. Soon, the path will be smooth again. Perfect, pristine, untouched. The wind shifts direction. It blows from the north now. It carries the scent of pine forests miles away. It brushes against the stone walls of the bathhouse. It cannot get in. The heat is too strong. The engineering is too sound. We linger outside the bathhouse for a moment longer. We watch the steam rising from the roof vents. It spirals up into the darkness, a white ribbon connecting the earth to the sky. It dissipates, becoming part of the atmosphere. The night is long. We have only just begun to explore the silence of this place. But for now, we rest in the memory of the warmth. We rest in the afterglow of the heat. Everything is slow. Everything is heavy. Everything is calm. The snow continues to fall. It settles on the rooftops of the fort, adding weight, adding silence. The wind has shifted again, blowing softly from the east, carrying the clean, crisp scent of frozen plains. We move away from the warm, humid air of the bathhouse. We walk down the central street, the Via Praetoria. The stones of the road are hidden under inches of white powder. Our footsteps are the only disturbance in this pristine landscape. We approach a large, rectangular building nestled in a quiet corner of the camp. This is the valetudinarium, the hospital. It is a place of healing. It is a place of quiet. In the chaos of a military campaign, this is a sanctuary. But here, in the dead of winter, during the peace of the long night, it is the quietest place on earth. We step through the entrance. The door is heavy oak, thick enough to block out the sounds of the camp, though there are no sounds tonight. Inside, the air is distinct. It does not smell of smoke or horses or sweat. It smells of dried herbs. It smells of vinegar. It smells of beeswax and clean linen. It is a sharp medicinal smell, but it is not unpleasant. It feels cleansing. It clears the sinuses. The hospital is built around a central courtyard. A corridor runs around the perimeter, and off this corridor are the small rooms, the wards for the sick. The corridor is dimly lit. Small oil lamps rest in niches along the walls, spaced far apart. Pools of yellow light punctuate the long shadows. A figure moves down the hallway. He is a capsarius, a medical orderly. He wears a tunic of undyed wool, clean and pale in the low light. He moves softly. His sandals are wrapped in cloth to dampen the sound of his footsteps. Silence is the rule here. Sleep is the medicine. SHHH, SHHH, the soft sliding sound of his wrapped feet on the tiled floor. He enters a small room off the main corridor. This is the pharmacy, the preparation room. It is filled with shelves. On the shelves sit hundreds of jars, ceramic jars, glass vials, wooden boxes. Each one is labeled with a small tag of papyrus or wood. They contain the pharmacy of the empire, dried leaves, roots, powders, resins. The capsarius walks to a heavy wooden table in the center of the room. On the table sits a large mortar and pestle made of stone. Beside it, a small pile of dried leaves, sage, and thyme, herbs for coughs, herbs for the chest. He picks up a pinch of the leaves. They are brittle. They crumble slightly between his fingers, crackle, a tiny sound. He drops them into the stone bowl of the mortar. He adds a few more pinches. Then he picks up the pestle. It is heavy, cool stone. He fits it into his palm. He begins to grind. Grind, twist, crush, grind, twist, crush. The sound is rhythmic, stone rubbing against stone. It is a gritty, earthy sound. It is constant, scritch, scrape. With each rotation of the pestle, the leaves are broken down. The smell is released. The scent of sage rises up, filling the small room. It is a dusty, green smell, peppery and warm. The orderly does not rush. He works the pestle in a perfect circle, around and around, round and round. He watches the leaves turn into a fine powder. He is focused entirely on the texture. It must be fine. It must be smooth. Imagine the motion of his hand, the repetitive strain, the easing of the wrist. It is a meditation. He adds a drop of honey from a jar. The honey is thick and golden. It moves slowly, stretching into a long, thin thread before breaking. Drip. He mixes the honey with the powder. The sound changes. It becomes a sticky, wet sound. Squish. Smack. Squish. He is making a paste, a lozenge for a sore throat. It is simple medicine, but effective. He works for a long time. The lamp on the table flickers gently, casting his shadow against the shelves behind him. The shadow mimics his movements, a giant hand grinding a giant pestle on the wall. When he is finished, he scrapes the paste into a small wooden pot. He wipes the mortar clean with a cloth. He places the pestle down. Thud, softly. He picks up the pot and leaves the room. He walks back into the corridor. He moves towards the wards. These are small cubicles, each containing a few beds. There are no doors, just heavy curtains to keep out drafts. He stops at one curtain. He listens. Inside, the breathing of sleeping men. One man is coughing, a dry, shallow cough, 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 then silence, then a rustle of blankets. The orderly pushes the curtain aside gently. The rings of the curtain slide on the rod. Chink, chink. Barely audible, he steps inside. It is darker here. The only light comes from the hallway. He approaches the bed of the coughing soldier. The man is awake but groggy. He looks up. The orderly does not speak. He simply holds out the small pot and a wooden spoon. The soldier understands. He opens his mouth. The orderly gives him a small spoonful of the honey and sage paste. The soldier swallows. The thick honey coats his throat. The coughing stops. The soldier sighs, a sound of relief. Ah. The orderly nods. He pulls the blanket up higher around the soldier's shoulders. He tucks the edges in. It is a gesture of care, a motherly gesture in a world of men and iron. The soldier closes his eyes. Within moments, his breathing evens out. He drifts back to sleep. The orderly leaves the room. The curtain falls back into place. Swish. He continues his rounds. He walks past room after room. Most are silent. In some there is the sound of snoring, snore, whistle, snore, whistle. It is a human sound. It breaks the stark silence of the winter. It reminds us that there is life here. He stops at a window that looks out into the central courtyard. The courtyard is open to the sky. It is covered in snow. A small garden is planted there, but the plants are dormant, buried under the white drift. In the center stands a statue of Aesculapius, the god of healing. The statue is made of marble. Snow has collected on the god's shoulders and on the staff he holds, the staff with the snake coiled around it. The orderly looks at the statue. The marble is pale in the moonlight. The god looks serene. He does not feel the cold. He watches over the sleeping sick. The orderly rests his hands on the windowsill. The stone of the sill is cold. He feels the chill through his palms. It is grounding. He thinks of nothing. He simply watches the snow falling into the courtyard, flake by flake. They land on the statue. They land on the frozen bushes. They land on the ground. They add to the silence. He turns away and walks to a storage room at the end of the hall. This is the linen room. It is stacked floor to ceiling with bandages and sheets. The smell here is of clean fabric, laundry soap, lavender. A pile of washed linen strips sits on a table. They are bandages that have been laundered and dried near the fires. Now they need to be rolled. The orderly sits on a stool. He picks up a long strip of linen. It is white, slightly rough, but soft from many washings. He starts at one end. He folds it over. He begins to roll. Roll, tuck, roll. He rolls it tight. He creates a perfect cylinder of fabric. Roll, roll, roll. His fingers move deftly. He has done this thousands of times. He does not need to look. The roll grows in his hand. It becomes a solid, compact object. When he reaches the end, he tucks the loose corner in. He places the finished roll in a basket. He picks up another strip. Roll, tuck, roll. The repetition is endless. It is incredibly soothing, just the fabric and the fingers. There is no blood here, no emergency, just preparation, just the quiet maintenance of the hospital. The room is cozy. A small brazier of charcoal burns in the corner, keeping the damp away from the bandages. The coals glow with a low, red light. Occasionally, a coal shifts. Click. The heat radiates gently. Imagine sitting there with him, the smell of the warm fabric, the motion of the rolling, the peace of the late hour. There is nowhere else you need to be. The storm outside is irrelevant. The war is irrelevant. There is only this strip of cloth. Roll, roll, roll. The basket slowly fills up, one bandage at a time. A cylinder of white, another cylinder of white, order from chaos, neatness, precision. The orderly yawns. It is a quiet yawn. He stretches his neck, crack, a soft pop of the joint. He stands up and walks to a table where instruments are laid out. They are bronze and steel, scalpels, probes, forceps. They are arranged on a clean cloth. They gleam in the lamplight. They are not scary. They are tools like the blacksmith's hammer or the baker's peel. They are clean. They are ready. He picks up a cloth and polishes a bronze probe. Rub, rub. He checks it for spots. There are none. It is perfect. He places it back down. Clink. a tiny metallic sound. He rearranges them slightly, lining them up perfectly parallel to each other. He likes the order. He likes the straight lines. It makes the world feel manageable. He leaves the storage room. He walks back to the central desk near the entrance. A large book lies open on the desk. It is a record of the patients. He picks up a stylus. He dips it in ink. He makes a mark next to a name. Scratch. The sound of the stylus on the papyrus. He is noting that the treatment was given. The honey and sage. He closes the book. Thump. A soft closing sound. He sits in a chair behind the desk. It is a high-backed wooden chair with a cushion. He settles in. He has a clear view of the corridor. He can see the flickering lamps. He can hear the distant snoring. He is the guardian of the sleep. He folds his hands in his lap. He stares at the flame of the nearest lamp. The flame dances slightly. It is mesmerizing, blue at the base, yellow at the tip. It consumes the oil slowly. The oil level drops, inch by inch, hour by hour. The hospital is a ship sailing through the night. The orderly is the captain, but he has no orders to give. He only has to keep watch. The walls are thick. The wind outside is a low drone, muffled and distant. MMMMMMMM. Inside, the air is still. Dust motes float in the shafts of light. They turn and drift. Slow motion. Everything is slow motion. A cat walks into the corridor. It is the hospital cat, a mouser. It is gray and white. It moves with absolute silence, paws on tiles. It approaches the orderly. It rubs against his leg. Purr. The sound is low and vibrating. Purr, purr. The orderly reaches down. He strokes the cat's head. The fur is soft. Stroke, stroke. The cat arches its back. It walks in a circle, then settles down at the orderly's feet. It curls into a ball. It tucks its nose under its tail. It sleeps. Now even the guardian has a companion in sleep. The orderly leans back. He closes his eyes for a moment, just to rest them. He listens to the silence. It is a heavy, comfortable silence. It presses against his ears like a soft pillow. Down the hall, a patient turns over in bed. The wooden frame of the bed creaks, creak. Then silence returns. The smell of the sage lingers in the air. It mixes with the smell of the lamp oil. It is a scent of safety. If you were there, lying in one of those beds, you would feel safe. You would know that someone is watching. You would know that the walls are strong. You would know that the morning will come, eventually. But you do not want the morning to come yet. The night is too peaceful. The rest is too deep. You want to stay in this suspended state, frozen in time, just breathing, just sleeping. The orderly opens his eyes. He looks at the hourglass on the table. The sand is running through the narrow neck, grain by grain. A tiny pyramid of sand builds up in the bottom glass. It grows slowly. It measures the passage of the night. There is still plenty of sand left in the top, plenty of time. He picks up a small cup of watered wine. He takes a sip. It is cool. It tastes of grapes and water. He sets the cup down. He is content. We float away from him now. We leave him sitting in his chair, the cat at his feet, the lamp burning steadily. We float back down the corridor, past the curtains, past the sleeping soldiers, past the smell of herbs. We move towards the heavy oak door. We slip through the cracks out into the cold. The transition is sharp. The cold air bites, but only for a moment. The snow is still falling. The world is still white. The fort is still asleep. The valetudinarium fades behind us into the gloom. It is just another dark shape in the snow, a box of warmth and quiet in a frozen world. We stand in the street again. The wind whispers past our ears. Whoosh. We look around. Where to next? The night is vast. The empire is vast. There are more places to explore, more silences to find. But for now, take a moment to breathe the cold air. Feel it fill your lungs. Clean, sharp, pure. Release it. Watch the white cloud of your breath drift away, mixing with the wind, becoming part of the winter. Everything is still. Everything is waiting. Everything is at peace. The snow is deeper now. It reaches halfway up the shins of the statues that line the Via Principales. We leave the quiet healing of the hospital and move toward the very center of the fort. Here stands the largest building of all, the Principia, the headquarters. It is a massive structure of stone. In the daylight, it is the bustling heart of the Legion, filled with officers shouting orders, messengers running in and out, and the clash of armor. But now, in the depths of the winter night, it is a cavern of silence. It looms out of the darkness, a heavy, imposing shadow against the gray sky. We walk up the wide steps. The snow has been swept away here, but a thin layer of frost glitters on the stone. Step, step. We pass between the great columns of the entrance. They are thick pillars of oak, painted red, now dark in the gloom. We push open the small side door, for the main gates are barred for the night. We enter the basilica, the great cross hall. It is an immense open space, roofed over to keep out the weather. The ceiling is lost in the darkness above. The air here is cold, almost as cold as outside, but it is still. There is no wind, the silence is vast. Our footsteps echo on the flagstones. Clack, clack, clack. The sound travels up to the rafters and fades away unanswered. At the far end of the hall there is a row of rooms. One of them has a light glowing from beneath the door. This is the tabularium, the archives, the office of the clerks. We approach the door. We hear a sound, scritch, scratch. It is a dry, insect-like sound, scritch, scratch. We open the door quietly and slip inside. The atmosphere changes instantly. The room is small compared to the great hall. It is warm. It is stuffy. The air is thick with the smell of old paper, dried ink, melting wax, and charcoal fumes. It is the smell of bureaucracy. It is the smell of the empire's memory. 2 men are working here. They are the librarii, the military clerks. They are soldiers, but their weapons are the pen and the stylus. They sit at high wooden desks, hunched over their work. They are the gears that keep the Legion running, even while it sleeps. The room is lined with shelves, nidi or pigeonholes. Hundreds of them. They cover the walls from floor to ceiling. In each pigeonhole there are scrolls. Some are papyrus, yellow and brittle. Some are parchment, pale and smooth. Some are bound in leather bundles. They are stacked efficiently. They contain the history of the fort, the duty rosters, the pay records, the supply lists. Focus on the first clerk. He is an older man, his hair graying at the temples. He is wearing a heavy woolen tunic with long sleeves to keep his arms warm. He is writing on a scroll of papyrus. He holds a calamus, a reed pen. He dips it into a small ink pot made of bronze. Dip. He taps the excess ink against the rim of the pot. Tap, tap. He brings the pen to the paper. Watch the tip of the pen. It touches the fibrous surface of the papyrus. Scratch. He writes a name, Marcus. He lifts the pen. Valerius. He lifts the pen. Severus. The ink glistens wetly for a moment. It is a deep, rich black made from soot and gum Arabic. Slowly, as we watch, the sheen fades. The ink dries. It becomes one with the paper. It is permanent now. The clerk pauses. He looks at a wax tablet sitting next to him. He is copying a list of guards for the northern wall. He finds his place. He dips the pen again. Dip, tap, scratch. The sound is hypnotic. It is a rhythm of work that has been going on for centuries. Scratch, scratch, pause, scratch, scratch, pause. The desk he works on is scarred. It has ink stains that have soaked into the wood grain, black islands in a sea of brown oak. There are small cuts where knives have trimmed pens. It is a workspace that has seen thousands of nights like this. Next to the ink pot, there is a small charcoal brazier. It is a metal bowl on a tripod stand. The coals inside are glowing white and red. They give off a steady heat. The clerk keeps the ink pot close to the brazier. If he didn't, the ink would freeze. The cold of the winter tries to invade even here, but the charcoal holds it back. Every few minutes the clerk stops. He holds his hands over the brazier. He rubs them together. Rub, rub, dry skin against dry skin. He flexes his fingers. They are stiff. Writing in the cold is hard work. He sighs softly through his nose. HMMPH. Then he picks up the pen again. The work must be done. Now look at the second clerk. He is younger. He is not working with ink. He is working with wax. He holds a wooden tablet, a tabula. It is a flat piece of wood with a recessed center filled with black beeswax. He holds a stylus. It is a sharp metal instrument, pointed at one end, flat at the other. He is checking inventory, the grain supplies. He reads a scrap of papyrus. He makes a note in the wax, scritch. The sharp point cuts into the wax. It pushes the material aside, revealing the lighter wood underneath. VXI numbers, Roman numerals, 5, 10, 1. He makes a mistake. He stops. He flips the stylus over. He uses the flat, spatula-like end. He presses it against the wax. Rub. He smooths the wax out. The numbers disappear. The surface becomes black and flat again. The mistake is gone. The wax is forgiving. This is the beauty of the wax tablet. It is temporary. It is for notes, for drafts, for things that change. Write, erase, write, erase. The sound is different from the pen. It is softer, a duller scratching, scritch, shhh, erase, scritch. The room is filled with these tiny sounds. The scratching pen, the scraping stylus, the popping of the charcoal, pop. A tiny spark jumps from the brazier and dies on the stone floor. Behind the clerks, the shelves of scrolls wait in silence. Imagine the sheer amount of information stored here. Morning report, day 40 of winter. Inventory, 500 bushels of spelt. Request, new sandals for Century III. Disciplinary record, soldier drunk on duty. Rows and rows of round ends of scrolls. They look like a honeycomb. Some have small wooden tags hanging from them on leather cords. The tags swing gently if a draft catches them. Sway, sway, but mostly they are still. They are gathering dust. Fine gray dust settles on the top of the scrolls. It settles on the shelves. It is the dust of time. The older clerk reaches for a small jar of sand. He sprinkles it over the wet ink on his scroll. SHHH. The sand absorbs the excess moisture. He waits a moment. Then he blows the sand away. Whoosh. The sand scatters across the desk. It makes a gritty sound as he brushes it aside with a hare's foot. Brush. Brush. He rolls up the scroll, crinkle. The dry papyrus protests slightly. He rolls it tight. He picks up a piece of twine. He ties it around the scroll. He ties a knot. Pull, tight and secure. Now he needs to seal it. He picks up a stick of red sealing wax. He holds it over the brazier. The wax begins to soften. A drop forms at the end. It hangs there heavy and red like a drop of blood. He positions it over the knot. The drop falls, splat. It lands on the twine, a perfect circle of hot wax. Smoke curls up from it. The smell of burning resin fills the air. It is a sharp, piney smell. He takes his signet ring from his finger. He presses it into the hot wax. Press. He holds it there. 1, 2, 3. He lifts the ring. The impression is left behind. An eagle, the symbol of the legion. The seal cools. It hardens. The document is official. He places the scroll in a basket on the floor. Thump. One task finished. He picks up another blank sheet. The cycle begins again. There is a window in the room, high up on the wall. It has no glass, just a wooden shutter. The shutter is closed tight, but through the cracks a thin draft of freezing air whistles in. Wee. It fights with the heat of the brazier. The air in the room is a mix of hot and cold currents. You can see the clerk's breath when he leans back from the heat. A faint mist. The younger clerk stands up. His wooden stool scrapes against the floor. Scrape. He walks to a shelf. He is looking for a specific record. He runs his finger along the tags. Tap, 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 tap. He is counting. Row 3, slot 10. He pulls a scroll out. Slide. Dust motes dance in the lamp light as the scroll is disturbed. He carries it back to his desk. He unrolls it. He compares it to his tablet. There is no conversation. These men have worked together for years. They do not need to speak. The silence is their colleague. They are surrounded by the names of thousands of men. Names of the living. Names of the dead. Names of the retired. All filed away in this room. All sleeping in the archives. The oil lamp on the older clerk's desk is made of clay. It has two nozzles, two flames. The light is warm and yellow. It illuminates the texture of the papyrus. You can see the weave of the plant fibers. You can see the slight unevenness of the surface. The light casts long shadows behind the ink pot. The shadow of the pen moves back and forth across the desk like a metronome. Tick, tock, right, dip. The hours pass. The pile of finished scrolls grows slowly. The pile of blank papyrus shrinks. The charcoal in the brazier burns down to gray ash. The older clerk picks up a pair of iron tongs. He adds a fresh piece of charcoal. Clink. He stirs the fire. Sparks rise. The heat flares up again. It is a cozy boredom, a safe boredom. There is no danger in this room. No enemy can breach the wall of paperwork. The administrative machine of Rome is a fortress in itself. Order, structure, record keeping. These are the things that hold the chaos of the world at bay. Imagine yourself sitting in the corner of this room. You are watching them work. The scratching of the pen is a lullaby. Scritch, scratch, scritch, scratch. Your eyelids feel heavy. The room is warm. The smell of wax is comforting. You watch the dust motes floating in the light. They move so slowly, up and down, drifting. The younger clerk yawns. He covers his mouth with his hand. He rubs his eyes. He leans his head on his hand. His stylus taps idly against the wood of the desk. Tap, tap, tap. Slow, rhythmic. He is fighting sleep. But you don't have to fight it. You can let the sound of the tapping carry you away. Outside the thick stone walls, the wind howls. Woo-woo. But inside, it is just the quiet scratching, the turning of a page, the settling of the fire, the breathing of the clerks. The older clerk stops writing. He flexes his hand again. He looks at his work. He is satisfied. He cleans the nib of his pen with a piece of cloth. Wipe, wipe. He sets the pen down. He leans back in his chair. The wood creaks, creak. He stares at the flame of the lamp. For a moment, nobody moves. The room is a still life painting. The clerks at night, frozen in time, preserved in the amber of the lamplight. The night is deep. The middle of the night has passed. We are moving towards the early hours of the morning, though the sun is still far away. The work in the tabularium never truly ends, but it slows down. The urgency fades. The shadows lengthen. We leave them there. We leave the older man staring at the flame and the younger man resting his eyes. We leave the smell of ink and ash. We slip back out the door. Click. The latch closes softly. We are back in the great empty hall of the basilica. The air is cold again. The echo returns. We walk back towards the entrance. Our steps are lighter now. We are carrying the quiet of the archives with us. We push open the outer door. The snow greets us. It has covered our previous footprints. The slate is clean again, just like the wax tablet, smoothed over, ready for a new story, or simply ready for silence. The fort sleeps on, the snow falls on, and we continue our journey through the night. The night continues its slow march. We leave the warm, ink-scented air of the archives and step back into the vast, open silence of the camp. The snow has stopped falling for the moment. The clouds have thinned, allowing a faint, watery moonlight to filter through. It paints the world in shades of blue and gray. The shadows of the buildings are long and crisp on the white ground. We walk towards the western wall of the fort. Here the buildings are utilitarian, rougher, stronger. These are the workshops, the fabrica. This is where the legion repairs its iron and its wood. In the daytime, this place is a cacophony of ringing hammers, sawing wood, and shouting voices. It is the loudest place in the camp. But tonight it is the quietest. It is a tomb of industry. It is a monument to silence. We approach the first building. It is a long, open-fronted structure, though heavy wooden shutters have been lowered and barred to keep out the snow. We slip in through a side door. We are in the smithy, the blacksmith's domain. The air here is freezing. Unlike the bakery or the bathhouse, the fires here have been allowed to die out completely. The forge must be cold for the work to stop. The smell is distinct. It hits you immediately. It is the smell of cold iron. It is a metallic, acidic tang that sits on the tongue. It mixes with the smell of old coal dust and the faint residue of sulfur. It is a heavy, earthy scent. It is dark, very dark. The moonlight slices through the gaps in the wooden shutters, creating thin beams of blue light that cut across the darkness. These beams illuminate the dust motes that hang suspended in the freezing air. The dust here is black, coal dust, iron filings. It does not float as lightly as the flour in the bakery. It hangs heavy. In the center of the room, the forge sits like a sleeping beast. It is a raised platform of brick and stone. The fire pit is filled with gray ash and dead coals. There is no glow, no heat. If you were to touch the bricks, they would be ice cold. The bellows, large leather lungs used to pump air into the fire, hang motionless from the ceiling beams. They are deflated. Their leather sides are stiff with the cold. Next to the forge stands the anvil. Focus on the anvil. It is a massive block of iron, dark, solid, immovable. It sits on a thick stump of oak. The iron is pitted and scarred from years of strikes. Thousands of blows, thousands of sparks. But now it is silent. It absorbs the cold. It radiates a chill that you can feel from 3 feet away. It is the anchor of the room. Touch it in your mind. The surface is smooth but cold enough to burn. It is absolute stillness. There is no vibration. The iron atoms are locked in place, frozen by the winter night. On the walls, the tools are hanging. Rows and rows of hammers, sledgehammers with long handles, crossbeam hammers, ball-peen hammers. They hang on iron hooks. Their heads are down. They look like sleeping bats. They are heavy. They are potential energy waiting for a hand to lift them, but no hand is here. Clink, a draft from the door moves one of the smaller hammers slightly. It taps against the wall. Clink. A tiny sound in the vast darkness. It echoes once and dies. On a workbench, a pair of tongs has been left. They are long with pincers at the end. They are lying open. Beside them is a piece of metal, a horseshoe half finished. It is gray and dull. It was once red hot, pliable, alive with heat. Now it is just cold metal. It waits for the morning. It waits for the fire. The floor of the smithy is dirt, packed hard as stone. It is covered in a layer of black grit. Our footsteps make a crunching sound here. Crunch, crunch. It is a harsher sound than the snow. It is the sound of industry at rest. We move deeper into the fabrica. We pass through an archway into the next section. The smell changes instantly. The metallic tang fades. It is replaced by the smell of the forest. Pine, oak, cedar, sawdust. This is the carpentry shop. The air feels slightly warmer here, or perhaps it is just the psychological effect of the wood. Wood feels warmer than iron. The room is filled with the scent of sap and resin. It is a dry, pleasant smell. It reminds you of deep forests and sunny days, even in the midst of this freezing night. The floor here is covered in shavings, curly ribbons of wood that have fallen from the plains. They are soft. They cushion our steps. Rustle, hush, the sound of walking through dry leaves. There are large workbenches made of thick slabs of beech wood. They are battered and worn. Their surfaces are a map of cuts and scratches. On one bench, a large saw sits. Its blade is steel, jagged with teeth. It leans against a block of wood. The teeth are sharp, but they are still. They are not biting into anything. Beside it, a chisel, a wooden mallet. They are laid out in a neat row. The Roman soldier is disciplined, even in his crafts, a place for everything and everything in its place. In the corner, there is a large pile of timber, planks of wood stacked with small spacers between them to allow air to circulate. The wood is seasoning. It is drying out. Creak. The wood settles. As the temperature drops, the fibers contract. Pop. A small knot in a plank gives way. It is the sound of the wood adjusting to the winter. A cartwheel leans against the wall. It is nearly finished. The rim is bent into a perfect circle. The spokes radiate out from the hub like the rays of a sun. But the iron tire has not yet been fitted. The wood is pale, unvarnished. It looks ghostly in the moonlight. It is a circle of silence. It is not rolling. It is not carrying a load. It is simply a shape. There is a sense of patience in the carpentry shop. Wood takes time to grow, it takes time to season, it takes time to shape. The tools here are tools of patience. The plane that shaves off paper-thin layers, the sandpaper that smooths rough edges. SHHH. SHHH. You can almost hear the phantom sound of the plane working the wood, a soothing, repetitive whisper. But tonight there is no work. The shavings on the floor are motionless, the dust is settled. A spider has begun to spin a web between the handle of the saw and the bench. Spin, spin. Silently the silk thread is pulled out. The spider moves slowly in the cold. It is claiming the workspace for the night. By morning the web will be swept away. But for now it is a tiny architecture of the night built in the silence of the empire. We move to the back of the workshop. There is a smaller area here. The smell changes again. It is pungent, sharp, leather, oil, tanning fluid. This is where the armor is repaired, where the sandals are fixed, where the tents are patched. Rolls of cowhide are stacked on shelves. They are stiff and heavy. They smell of animal and earth. A workbench is covered in tools, awls, needles, knives shaped like half-moons. A pot of beeswax sits on the table. It is solid white in the cold, a spool of thick linen thread. A larica segmentata, the famous segmented armor of the legionary, sits on a mannequin or a stand. It is being repaired. One of the leather straps that holds the iron plates together has broken. The armor looks like a hollow man, a shell without a soul. The iron plates gleam dully. It is headless, armless, legless. It stands guard over the leather scraps. The silence here is heavy. Leather absorbs sound. The rolls of hide dampen the acoustics of the room. It feels like being inside a closet full of winter coats, muffled, cozy in a strange way. You can hear your own heartbeat here. Thump, 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 slow, steady. There is a small window high up. A single pane of mica or perhaps just an open slat. A beam of moonlight hits the spool of thread. The thread glows white. It is a tiny detail, a single point of focus in the darkroom, focus on the thread, wrapped tight, round and round, waiting to be unspooled, waiting to bind things together. The wind outside picks up again. It whistles around the corners of the workshop. Woo-woo. The wooden shutters rattle in their frames. Rattle, rattle. It is a lonely sound, but inside the tools are safe. The wood is safe. The leather is safe. There is a feeling of suspended animation in the fabrica. These objects, the hammer, the saw, the needle, have no purpose without the human hand. They are waiting. They are dormant, like the trees outside in the winter, like the bears in the caves. They are hibernating. Imagine the feeling of the cold handle of the hammer, smooth wood polished by sweat and oil. Imagine the texture of the sawdust, dry and light. Imagine the smell of the leather, rich and deep. The workshop is a place of creation, but tonight it is a museum of stillness. Nothing is being made. Nothing is being destroyed. Everything just is. We stand in the center of the room between the carpentry and the smithy. To our left, the smell of pine. To our right, the smell of iron. Two worlds, both frozen. The duality of the legion, iron and wood, war and logistics. Both are asleep. A mouse skitters across the floor of the carpentry shop. Scuttle, scuttle. It runs over the shavings, it pauses by the wheel, it sniffs the air. It is looking for crumbs, but there are none here, only wood and metal. It moves on, disappearing into a hole in the wall. Scuttle. Gone. The silence rushes back in to fill the space the mouse left. It feels even deeper now. Heavy, velvet, absolute. The cold begins to seep through our imaginary cloaks. It is time to move. We cannot stay in this unheated building forever. The tools do not feel the cold, but we do. We turn back towards the door. We carefully step over the threshold. We close the door behind us. Click. The latch falls into place. We leave the hammer, the anvil, the saw, and the wheel in the dark. Outside, the air feels different. It is fresh. It is moving. The stillness of the workshop was stagnant. The stillness of the night outside is alive. We take a deep breath. The icy air wakes us up, but only slightly. It is a refreshing chill. We look back at the Fabrica. It is just a dark shape against the night sky, a black box holding the tools of the Empire. It will be there in the morning, the fires will be lit, the hammers will ring, but not yet. For hours and hours yet, there will be only silence. The snow crunches under our feet as we walk away. Crunch, crunch. We are heading back towards the inhabited parts of the fort, towards the faint glow of the barracks, but the memory of the cold iron stays with us. The weight of the anvil, the stillness of the saw, it is a grounding memory, heavy, solid, real. The Roman Empire is built on this iron and this wood, and tonight the foundation is resting deep in the winter night. We turn away from the silent workshops. We leave the ground level of the fort entirely. The snow on the ground is deep, but our path now leads upwards. We are heading to the perimeter, to the vallum, the great defensive wall that separates the Roman world from the wild unknown. We approach a wooden staircase built against the side of the stone rampart. The steps are thick beams of oak. They are covered in a layer of hard-packed snow and ice. Step. We place a foot on the first stair. The wood groans under the weight. Creak. It is a low, complaining sound. The wood is frozen through. We climb slowly. There is a wooden handrail. It is slick with frost. If you touch it, your hand slides effortlessly along the grain. It is cold enough to numb your fingers in seconds, so we keep our hands tucked inside our imaginary cloaks. Step, creak, step, creak. As we rise higher, the air changes. Down in the streets of the fort, the buildings block the wind. But here, rising above the roofline, the wind finds us. It greets us with a rush of cold air. Whoosh. It pulls at our clothes, it stings our cheeks, but it is a clean wind. It comes from the north, from the lands of eternal winter. We reach the top of the wall. The walkway, the parapet, stretches out to the left and right. It is a narrow path of planks, bordered by the stone crenellations of the wall. The view from here is different. The fort below looks like a toy model. The rows of barracks are just dark rectangles buried in white sugar. The smoke from the chimneys looks like tiny threads unraveling into the sky. But we are not looking down, we are looking up, and we are looking out. At the corner of the wall stands a tower, a turret. It is a square structure, taller than the wall, built of stone at the base and timber at the top. It has a peaked roof to shed the snow. This is the eye of the fort. This is where the watch is kept. We push aside a heavy leather curtain that covers the doorway of the tower room. We step inside. The wind is instantly cut off. The roar turns into a muffled hum. MMMMMMM. Inside the tower it is small, it is cramped, it is intimate. The space is perhaps only 10 feet by 10 feet. It is a wooden box suspended in the night sky. 2 soldiers are here. They are the sentries, the vigils. They do not turn when we enter, they are focused on the window. The window is not glass. It is a wide, open slit in the wooden wall facing north, facing the forest, facing the emptiness. A small brazier sits on the floor between them. It is filled with glowing charcoal. It is the only source of light and heat in this small space. The coals are covered in a fine layer of white ash. The heat rises straight up, warming the faces of the men but leaving their backs cold. The light is dim, a deep pulsing red. It illuminates their armor. They are wearing their helmets, the Gallia. The metal cheek guards frame their faces. The iron is dull, not shiny. It reflects the red glow of the coals. The soldiers are wrapped in their thickest cloaks. The wool is piled high around their necks. They look more like bundles of cloth than men. They stand shoulder to shoulder. It is a survival strategy. They share their warmth. They share the space. Let us look out the window with them. What do they see? Nothing and everything. Beyond the wall, the land drops away into a valley. And filling that valley, stretching as far as the mind can imagine, is the forest, the silva. Millions of trees, pine, fir, spruce. They are a dark, impenetrable mass. In the daylight they are green, but tonight under the faint moonlight they are black, ink black, charcoal black, shadow black. The snow has coated the tops of the trees. It looks like a white foam on top of a dark ocean. The wind moves the treetops, sway, sway. The entire forest seems to breathe. It ripples. Imagine looking at the ocean at night, the way the waves roll and vanish. The forest is the same. It is a frozen ocean. There is no light out there, no fires, no villages. The local tribes are hunkered down in their roundhouses miles away, buried under turf and snow. The animals, the wolves, the bears, the deer, are hidden in their dens and thickets. There is only the landscape, vast, indifferent, silent. The soldier on the left leans forward slightly. He rests his elbows on the wooden sill of the window, creak. He stares at a particular patch of darkness. Is that a shadow moving, or just a branch heavy with snow? He watches it. 1 minute, 2 minutes. The shadow does not move. It is just a tree. He relaxes. He leans back. He breathes out a cloud of white mist. It drifts out the window and is snatched away by the wind. This is the game of the century. The mind plays tricks, pareidolia, seeing patterns where there are none. A bush looks like a man crouching. A fallen log looks like a horse. The wind sounds like a whisper, but the soldier knows these tricks. He has stood this watch 100 times. He knows every tree on the ridge. He knows that rock that looks like a bear. He knows that stump that looks like a helmet. He is not fooled. He is just bored. And boredom right now is a luxury. Boredom means safety. Boredom means peace. If the night was exciting, that would be bad. Excitement means danger. Excitement means alarms. They pray for boredom. They cherish the monotony. The soldier on the right shifts his weight. His feet are cold. He stamps them gently on the floorboards. Thump, thump. It is a dull, hollow sound. He rubs his gloved hands together over the brazier. Rub, rub. The leather gloves make a soft, rasping noise. He holds his hands out, palms down, over the coals. He captures the rising heat. He feels it seep through the leather into his skin, into his bones. It is a tiny island of comfort in a sea of cold. Behind them, leaning against the wall, are their shields, the scuda. They are covered in leather cases to protect the painted wood from the damp. They look like large, rectangular parcels. Their spears, the pila, stand in a rack. The iron tips are cold and dark. They are not needed tonight. They are just furniture. The wind howls around the tower. Woo-woo, wee-yee. It rattles the roof shingles. It pushes against the timber walls, creak, groan. The tower sways slightly, very slightly, just enough to feel it in your knees. It is flexible. It bends with the wind so it does not break. It feels like being on a ship in a gentle swell. Rocking, rocking. The soldiers do not speak. What is there to say? It is cold. Yes. The snow is deep. Yes. They have had this conversation 1,000 times. Silence is better. Silence preserves energy. They are two statues of wool and iron watching the end of the world. Let your gaze drift past them, out into the sky. The clouds are breaking up properly now. The wind is tearing holes in the gray blanket, and through the holes the stars appear. Stella. They are hard and bright, diamonds on black velvet. They do not twinkle much in the cold air. They stare down with a steady, unblinking light. There is Orion the hunter, a soldier in the sky. He has his belt. He has his sword. He is watching too. There is the Great Bear, Ursa Major, turning slowly around the pole star. The wheel of the heavens turns, slowly, inevitably. The soldiers look up. They see the stars. They know the time by the position of the bear. It is the third watch, the tertia vigilia, the deepest part of the night, the time when sleep is heaviest, the time when the spirit is weakest. But they are awake. They are the guardians. One soldier reaches into a pouch at his belt. He pulls out a handful of dried nuts. Hazelnuts, click, crack. He cracks one with his teeth. It is a sharp sound. He chews slowly. He offers one to his companion. The other man takes it. Nod. A silent thank you. Crack, crunch. They eat the nuts. It gives them energy to keep warm. The smell of the roasted nuts mixes with the charcoal smoke. It is a homely smell. For a second, the small tower feels like a kitchen, a living room, but then a gust of wind blows snow through the window slit. Flurry. Cold flakes land on their faces. They blink. The snow melts on their warm skin. Reminder, you are not in a kitchen. You are on the wall. The view is hypnotic. White ground, black trees, gray sky, bright stars, white, black, gray, bright. If you stare at the tree line long enough, it begins to blur. The trees merge into a single dark band, the eyes lose focus. The mind drifts, the soldier daydreams, he thinks of his home. Maybe a farm in Italy, maybe a vineyard in Gaul, he thinks of the sun, he remembers the sound of cicadas, the heat of the dusty road, the memory is vivid. It warms him from the inside, then the wind blows again. Whoosh, and he is back in the tower, back in the winter. There is a bucket of water in the corner of the tower. A thin layer of ice has formed on the surface. Crack. One soldier dips a ladle in, breaking the ice. The sound is crisp. He drinks. The water is freezing. It shocks his throat. Gulp. He shudders. Brrr. He wipes his mouth. He looks at the hourglass, the clepsydra, sitting near the brazier. It is a water clock, slowly dripping from one bowl to another. Drip, drip, drip. The water level is rising in the bottom bowl. The watch is half over. Only 2 more hours until relief comes. 2 hours is a long time, but also no time at all. It is just breathing, just standing. Imagine being there with them. You are wrapped in a cloak too. You are standing behind them. You feel the draft from the window. You feel the heat from the coals. You hear the wind singing in the eaves. Ee. You hear the wood settling. Talk. You look out at the forest. It is so big, so quiet. It feels like the forest is sleeping too. The sap in the trees is frozen. The leaves are gone or covered in wax. The life of the forest is paused. Everything is waiting for spring. But spring is months away. There is no rush. There is only the winter. The soldier on the left sighs. It is a long, slow exhalation. His breath forms a cloud that hangs in the air for a moment, illuminated by the red light of the brazier. It looks like a dragon's breath. Then it fades. He adjusts his helmet. He pushes it back slightly to relieve the pressure on his forehead. He rubs his eyes. He blinks. He refocuses on the tree line, still there, still black, still silent. Nothing has changed. Nothing will change. This is the definition of peace on the frontier, the absence of events. The history books will not record this night. They will not say, on the 40th night of winter, 2 men stood in a tower and ate hazelnuts. It is too ordinary, too boring, but it is real. It is the texture of life. The snow on the windowsill is accumulating. A small drift is forming. It sparkles in the starlight. The crystals are perfect, hexagons of ice. Complex geometries that no one looks at, except maybe you. Zoom in on the snowflake. See the structure. See the beauty. See how it lands softly and becomes part of the drift. One flake among millions. One soldier among thousands. One night among centuries. The wind shifts again. It drops. Suddenly the howling stops. The rattling stops. The silence that follows is deafening. It is heavy. It presses in on the ears. You can hear the charcoal shift in the brazier, sizzle. You can hear the leather of the sandals creak. You can hear the heartbeat in your own ears. Thump, thump. The world is holding its breath. The soldiers stand a little straighter. They listen. Is something out there? No, just the silence of the north. The immense, overwhelming silence of a continent under snow. They relax again. The wind will return. But for now, they enjoy the stillness. It is a moment of perfect clarity, cold, dark, clear. We stay with them for a while longer. We share their vigil. We watch the stars move a fraction of an inch across the sky. We watch the ash build up on the coals. We watch the breath fog the air. We are the watchers on the wall. And we are safe, because nothing is coming out of that forest tonight. The winter has frozen the world into submission. The tower stands firm. The wall stands firm, the empire stands firm, asleep but standing. We slowly back out of the room. We leave them to their nuts and their thoughts. We let the leather curtain fall back into place. Flap. The red glow is hidden again. We are back on the windy walkway, but we carry the memory of that small, warm box with us, the feeling of shared silence, the feeling of a duty quietly done. We look down at the snow-covered steps. It is time to descend, time to find another corner of the night. We descend from the high, windy perch of the watchtower. We leave the 2 sentries to their starlight vigil and their hazelnuts. We climb down the frozen wooden steps, carefully, hand over hand on the icy railing. Creak, step, back onto the solid ground, back into the shelter of the walls. We walk along the edge of the camp, past the rows of ordinary barracks where the legionaries sleep in their crowded bunks. But we are not going there. We are heading to the end of the block, to the quarters of the officers, specifically the Centurion. The Centurion is the backbone of the legion. He commands 80 men. He is a man of status, a man of discipline, and his quarters reflect this. We approach a door that is different from the others. It is made of polished oak, dark and rich. It has a bronze handle shaped like a lion's head. The metal is cold, but the door is thick. We pass through the door. The silence here is different. It is not the silence of a crowded room full of sleeping men. It is a private silence, a solitary silence. The air is warmer here, much warmer. There is a foculus, a large metal brazier standing in the center of the room. It is ornate with feet shaped like griffins. Inside, the charcoal is of the highest quality. It burns hot and clean with very little smoke. It radiates a steady, consistent heat that fills the corners of the room. The floor is not dirt or wood. It is tiled, a mosaic of small, colored stones. White, black, terracotta red, they form a geometric pattern, a border of waves, a center of diamonds. The tiles are warm underfoot, heated by the hypocaust system that runs beneath this section of the fort. It is a luxury, a touch of civilization in the wild north. A rug imported from the east lies near the bed. It is thick, woven from wool dyed deep crimson and blue. It softens the room. It absorbs the sound of footsteps. Hush, hush. Centurion is here. He is awake. He is a man in his 40s. His hair is cropped short, gray at the temples. His face is lined, weathered by sun and wind, a map of campaigns fought in distant lands. But tonight the map is at rest. He is not wearing his armor. His larica, a shirt of fine iron scales, hangs on a wooden stand in the corner. The scales overlap like the feathers of a bird. They gleam softly in the lamplight. Glint, glint. They are still. They are heavy. They are waiting for the spring. The Centurion wears a tunic of fine, bleached wool. It is soft against his skin. He wears a simple belt of leather unadorned. He is sitting in a chair, a sella. It is a folding chair with curved legs made of ivory and wood. It has a leather seat and a cushion. It looks uncomfortable to modern eyes, but to him it is the seat of authority. It keeps his posture straight. Even when resting, a Roman officer does not slouch. He is holding a cup. It is not the rough pottery of the mess hall. It is terra sigillata, Samian ware, a bright glossy red pottery from Gaul. It is smooth to the touch. The surface is decorated with relief figures, hunting dogs chasing deer. He runs his thumb over the raised figures. Rub, rub, he feels the texture of the clay. The cup is filled with warm wine. It has been heated with spices, pepper, honey, a stick of cinnamon. Steam rises from the cup. It spirals up in a thin, gray ribbon. He brings the cup to his lips. He blows gently on the steam. Whoosh. He takes a sip. He swallows. You can imagine the warmth traveling down his throat, settling in his stomach. It is a comforting burn. On the table next to him there is a lampstand. It is made of bronze, tall and slender like a tree. At the top, 3 oil lamps hang from chains, 3 flames. They cast a bright, steady light. The oil is olive oil imported from Spain. It smells grassy and rich as it burns. It does not smell of fat or tallow. It smells of the Mediterranean. It smells of home. The light illuminates the walls. They are plastered and painted. Frescoes. They depict a garden, green trees, blue sky, birds sitting on branches. It is a trick of the eye, a trompe l'oeil. In the dead of winter, surrounded by snow, the Centurion sits inside a painted summer. He looks at the wall. He looks at a painted pomegranate hanging from a painted branch. It is red and round. It looks juicy. He stares at it. He does not blink. The painted fruit does not rot. The painted leaves do not fall. It is a perfect frozen summer. On the desk there is a scroll. It is unrolled halfway. The edges are weighted down with small bronze weights shaped like turtles. He is reading. He is not reading orders. He is reading philosophy, perhaps Seneca, perhaps a Greek text. He reads the Greek letters. They are angular and precise. He reads a sentence. He stops. He thinks about it. He looks at the flame of the lamp. He looks back at the scroll. The room is filled with objects that tell a story of a life spent in service. In the corner, leaning against the wall, is his vitus, the vine staff, the symbol of his rank. It is a piece of grape vine, thick, knotted, and polished until it looks like dark marble. It is a heavy, brutal tool of discipline. But here in the corner, it is just a piece of wood. It casts a long, crooked shadow on the floor. On a shelf, there is a small glass bottle. It is made of blue glass blown thin. It contains perfume or scented oil. The glass catches the light. It glows with an inner sapphire luminescence. It is fragile. In a fort made of stone and iron and men, this tiny glass bottle is a miracle of survival. It sits there, undisturbed. The Centurion shifts in his chair. The leather creaks softly, creak. He sets the red cup down on the table, click. He picks up a small silver spoon. He stirs the dregs of the spices at the bottom of the cup. Clink, clink, clink. The metal spoon hits the ceramic sides. It is a high-pitched musical sound. Clink, clink. He stands up. He moves slowly. His knees are stiff. The damp cold of the north gets into the joints, even in a warm room. He walks to the window. Unlike the tower, this window has glass. Small, thick panes of green-tinted glass set in a lead frame. He cannot see much through it. The glass is distorted, full of bubbles and waves, and outside it is dark, but he can see the blur of the snow. He can see that the world outside is white and chaotic. He places his hand against the glass. It is freezing. The cold travels instantly into his palm. He holds it there for a moment. 5 seconds, 10 seconds. He pulls his hand away. He looks at his palm. A condensation print of his hand remains on the glass. It fades slowly, shrinking, evaporating, gone. He turns back to the room. The warmth embraces him again. He walks to his bed. It is a proper bed, a wooden frame with turned legs, a mattress stuffed with goose feathers, sheets of fine linen, a blanket of thick fur, bearskin or wolfskin. The fur is dark and glossy. It looks warm. It looks heavy. He sits on the edge of the bed. The mattress sinks under his weight. Rustle. The feathers compress. He unbuckles his belt. Click. He pulls the leather strap through the buckle. Slide. He coils the belt. He places it on a chest at the foot of the bed. He bends down and unlaces his house shoes. Soft leather slippers. He takes them off. He places them side by side, perfectly aligned. Discipline, even in sleep. He swings his legs up onto the bed. He lies back. He pulls the fur blanket up. It is heavy. It presses him down into the mattress. It feels like a protective weight. He stares up at the ceiling. The ceiling is coffered wood painted with small stars. Another sky, a fake sky for the indoors. The room is so quiet. Occasionally, a log in the brazier settles, tinkle, a sound like breaking glass but softer. It is the charcoal breaking apart. The smell of the room is complex. Olive oil, spiced wine, wool, beeswax polish, lavender from the chest. It is a potpourri of the empire. The Centurion closes his eyes. He does not sleep immediately. He breathes. Inhale, exhale. His chest rises and falls under the fine tunic. He listens to the wind outside. From here it sounds very far away. A distant rushing sound like water flowing in a river. It cannot touch him. The walls are thick. The glass is strong. The fire is hot. He is alone. The soldiers in the barracks have each other. They have the noise of 80 men snoring, shifting, dreaming. The Centurion has only himself. The burden of command is a solitary one. But tonight the burden is lifted. Tonight there are no orders to give. Tonight he is just a man in a warm room. The lamps continue to burn. The oil level drops imperceptibly. The shadows in the corners of the room stretch out. The shadow of the armor stand looks like a sentry standing guard over his sleep. The shadow of the vine staff looks like a snake. The shadow of the chair looks like a crouching beast. But they are friendly shadows, familiar shadows. Let your eyes wander over the details of the room. The grain of the oak door, the weave of the rug, the shine of the bronze lampstand, the dust on the shelf. Yes, even here there is dust. A thin layer of gray. It settles on the helmet crest. It settles on the scroll. Time is settling in the room. The Centurion's breathing slows down. It becomes rhythmic. He is drifting away from the Rhine frontier, drifting away from the snow, drifting back to a memory of a sun-drenched terrace in Rome. He is almost asleep. The brazier glows. The red light pulses gently. Pulse, pulse. It matches the beating of his heart. Thump, thump. The room is a capsule, a time capsule. Everything in it is suspended. The reading is paused. The drinking is paused. The war is paused. We watch him for a moment longer. The rise and fall of the blanket, the peaceful expression on the scarred face, the stillness of the hands that have held swords and standards. Now they are open, relaxed, empty. The heat in the room makes the air shimmy slightly above the brazier. It distorts the view of the wall painting behind it. The painted garden ripples. The painted birds seem to move, just for a second. Then they are still again. We back away slowly toward the door. We do not want to wake him. We step over the threshold. We pull the heavy oak door closed. Click. The latch engages. The silence of the corridor returns. The warmth is left behind. We are back in the hallway of the officer's block. It is cooler here, though not freezing. We walk down the corridor. The floor here is wood. Creak, creak. We pass other doors, other Centurions, each one in their own private world, each one sleeping or reading or staring at the fire, a row of solitary lives. We reach the exit. We push open the outer door. The cold night air rushes in to meet us. It is a shock after the warmth of the Centurion's room, but it is a clean shock. The snow is sparkling under the moonlight. The fort stretches out before us. White, gray, black, silent. We have seen the top of the wall. We have seen the bottom of the mine, the workshops. We have seen the luxury of the officers. But the night is not over. There are still corners of this frozen world to explore. There are still hours until dawn. The wind brushes past us. Shhhhh. It whispers secrets of the north, but we do not need to understand them. We just need to listen and watch and wait. Everything is calm. Everything is ordered. Everything is asleep. We leave the Centurion's quarters. We leave the faint smell of spiced wine and the warmth of the painted summer garden behind us. We step back out into the Via Principalis. The night is now at its absolute zenith. The moon is high, a pale, cold eye looking down on the sleeping world. The snow has stopped falling completely. The air is crystal clear. It is so cold that the moisture in the air has frozen into tiny, diamond-like dust that sparkles as it floats. We walk back towards the center of the fort, back to the Principia. We visited the clerks in the archives earlier, but now we go deeper. We go to the very heart of the building. We cross the great courtyard, the Forum. The snow here is untouched, a white carpet laid out over the gravel. In the center of the courtyard, the ground rises slightly, covering the foundations of a statue, but the shape is lost under the drift. At the far end of the courtyard, facing the main gate, is a row of rooms. The central room is the most important space in the entire camp. It is the Sacellum, the shrine of the standards, the chapel of the legion. There is no door here. The front of the room is open to the courtyard, but it is barred by a heavy iron grille, a gate of thick metal bars crisscrossed in a diamond pattern. The iron is black. It is cold. Frost has formed on the bars, turning them into white lace. We approach the grille. We look through the diamonds of iron. Inside, the room is lit, not by the functional oil lamps of the clerks and not by the cozy brazier of the Centurion. It is lit by hanging lamps of bronze and silver, burning perfumed oil. The light is soft, golden, and reverent. It does not flicker. The air inside is perfectly still. The floor is raised 3 steps above the courtyard. It is made of polished marble brought from far away. Black marble veined with white, it looks like a frozen river. Standing on this floor, arranged in a semicircle, are the souls of the legion, the standards, the signa. They are tall poles plated in silver and gold. They lean against a rack, standing at attention even while the men sleep. They are heavy with metal. They are heavy with history. Focus on the first standard. It is a long wooden shaft wrapped in silver sheeting. Along its length, metal discs are attached, fallery. They are military decorations, medals won by the unit in past wars. Look at the bottom disc. It is silver, it reflects the lamplight, a perfect circle of white light. Look at the next disc up. It is bronze, it glows with a dull reddish warmth. Look at the next. Silver again, up and down the pole, circle, circle, circle. They look like giant coins. They are motionless. There is no wind in here to make them rattle. They are silent eyes watching the night. On top of the pole sits a metal hand, an open palm, fingers extending upwards. The manus, it is the symbol of the oath, the promise of loyalty. The metal hand reaches for the ceiling, it reaches for the sky, it never tires, it never drops its arm, it holds the oath forever. The fingers are slender, the metal is smooth. A highlight of gold shines on the tip of the thumb. Glint, a tiny, steady star in the room. Next to it stands another standard. This one is topped with a wreath made of gold leaves, a laurel wreath. The leaves are delicate. Each vein in each leaf has been chased by a master goldsmith. They look fragile, but they are metal. They will not wither in the winter. They will not brown or fall. They are the eternal spring of victory, but tonight they are just metal shapes, cold and beautiful. And in the center, the most important of them all, the aquila, the eagle. It sits on top of the tallest pole. It is made of solid gold. It is not large, perhaps the size of a real eagle, but its presence fills the room. Its wings are raised as if it is about to take flight, but it never flies, it stays. Its head is turned to the right. Its beak is open in a silent cry. Its feathers are etched in gold, layer upon layer of golden plumage. The light from the hanging lamps hits the gold. The bird seems to glow from within. It radiates a heavy, yellow power. The eagle is the god of the camp. It is the luck of the legion. Men will die to protect this golden bird. Men have died. But tonight the eagle is at peace. It is not watching a battle. It is watching the snow. It looks calm. It looks arrogant. It looks eternal. Beneath the standards there is a small altar. It is a block of stone carved with ribbons and ox skulls. On the altar, a small fire burns in a silver bowl. This is not a heating fire. This is a sacred fire. It burns frankincense. The resin melts on the hot coals. Hiss, a tiny sound. Smoke rises. A thin blue column of smoke. It rises straight up. It does not waver. It passes the silver discs. It passes the metal hand. It passes the golden wings. It pools in the ceiling, filling the upper air with a haze of holiness. The smell is intense. It drifts out through the iron bars. It mixes with the crisp winter air. Frankincense, sweet, piney, citrusy. It is the smell of temples, the smell of Rome. Breathing it in feels like breathing in a prayer. There is a guard here, of course there is. The standards are never left alone. He stands inside the room just behind the grill. He is an aquilifer, a standard bearer, or perhaps a chosen sentry for the night shift. He is wearing a lion's skin over his helmet and shoulders. The paws of the lion are tied across his chest. The head of the lion sits atop his own helmet, the teeth framing his face. It creates a double visage, man and beast. He stands absolutely still. He is holding a spear, the butt resting on the marble floor. His shield rests against his leg. He is not looking at the eagle. He is looking out at the courtyard. He is looking at us, though he does not see us. He blinks slowly. Blink. His breath comes out in slow, controlled clouds. Exhale. The mist travels through the iron bars and vanishes. He is cold. The sacellum has no heating. It is an open-fronted shrine. The cold stone of the floor seeps through his sandals. The cold air wraps around his legs, but he does not shiver. He is trained not to shiver. He locks his knees. He tenses his muscles. He is a statue guarding statues. He is part of the furniture of the shrine. Below his feet, beneath the black marble floor, there is a hollow space. A vault. The aerarium, the treasury. Down there in the dark in the earth are iron chests. Inside the chests are thousands of silver denarii, the pay of the soldiers, the savings of the legion. Coins stamped with the face of the emperor. Coins stamped with gods and goddesses. They are cold metal in cold boxes in the cold ground. They are sleeping too. Wealth means nothing in the winter night. It is just metal. It sits there, heavy and silent, waiting for payday, waiting for spring. Let us look back at the standards. The light catches the curve of a silver crescent moon on one of the poles. Shine. The light travels down the length of the polished wood. It reflects off the polished greaves of the guard. Glint. Everything in this room is hard. Metal, stone, marble. There is nothing soft here. No wool blankets, no straw mattresses. This is the place of iron will. The silence here is heavier than anywhere else in the fort. It is a dense silence, a silence that demands respect. If you were to whisper here, it would sound like a shout. So we do not whisper, we only watch. The smoke from the incense swirls. It forms a shape like a ribbon. It twists, it dissolves. It is the only thing moving in the room. Even the shadows seem painted on the walls. The shadow of the eagle is cast high up on the back wall, a giant distorted bird looming over the shrine. It looks like a protector or a predator. It watches the guard's back. The guard shifts his grip on the spear. Creak. The leather of his glove makes a tiny sound against the wood. He adjusts his stance. 1 millimeter. He is tired. The night is long. The dawn is still far off. But he has the eagle. The eagle does not sleep. The eagle keeps him company. Imagine the feeling of standing there. The smell of the incense coating your throat. The biting cold on your cheeks, the visual overload of gold and silver in the semi-darkness. It is hypnotic. Look at the circles. Silver, bronze, silver. Look at the wings. Gold, gold, gold. Look at the flame. Blue, orange, blue. It is a kaleidoscope of stillness, a jewelry box left open in the snow. The wind outside sighs over the roof tiles of the Principia. Sigh. It sounds like the building is breathing. But inside the shrine, the air remains dead calm. The flame does not flicker. It is a bubble of holiness. The guard looks at the hourglass sitting on the floor near the altar. The sand is running low. Soon, the cornicen horn blower will sound the end of the watch. But not yet. For now, it is just him and the gold. We drift closer to the grill. We reach out a hand in our mind to touch the cold iron bar. It is freezing. It burns with cold. It is a barrier. We cannot enter. Only the initiated can enter. We are outsiders looking in. We are watching the secret heart of the empire beating slowly in the dark. There is a portrait of the emperor on one of the standards. The imago, a small bust of silver. The face is stern. The eyes are blank silver orbs. It stares out into the courtyard. It stares at the snow. Does the emperor in Rome know it is snowing here? Does he feel the cold? No. He is warm in his palace, but his silver face is here, freezing, watching. The legion is his proxy. The legion bears the cold for him. The incense burner is nearly empty. The last grain of resin is melting. It bubbles, pop, a tiny burst of scented smoke. Then the fire settles down to a bed of glowing red ash. The pillar of smoke thins. It becomes a wisp. The smell remains hanging heavy in the air. The guard closes his eyes for a split second, a long blink. In that second of darkness, he sees the sun. He feels the heat of battle. Then he opens them. The cold returns. The gold returns. He is back in the shrine. We step back from the grill. We leave the guard to his duty. We leave the eagle to its roost. We leave the money in the ground. We walk backwards across the courtyard. Our footprints in the snow are the only sign we were here. And soon, the wind will cover them up. The Sacilum glows behind us, a warm, golden cave in the side of the dark building. It gets smaller as we walk away. Smaller, smaller, until it is just a distant glimmer, like a star that has fallen to earth. We have seen the heart of the Legion, and it is calm, it is steady, it is frozen in time. The night is beginning to change. Subtly, the darkness is shifting. The moon is lowering in the sky. The texture of the air is changing. The deep, dead middle of the night is passing. The early morning, the antelucan hour, is approaching, the time before light. We walk towards the eastern gate, the Porta Praetoria. The snow is deep here. Crunch, crunch. We are heading towards the final chapter of the night, towards the wall that faces the dawn. But the dawn is not here yet. There is still only the blue-gray shadow of the pre-morning. There is still only silence. We pause by a stone column. We lean against it. It is solid. It is real. We take a moment to rest, to let the image of the golden eagle fade from our minds, to return to the white and the gray of the winter world. Everything is heavy. Your eyelids are heavy, the snow is heavy, the stone is heavy, the history is heavy. Let it all weigh you down. Let it anchor you to this spot, safe, still, sleeping. We have walked through the night. We have seen the sleeping horses, the steaming baths, the silent anvils, and the golden eagles. We have stood watch on the high tower and sat by the fire of the Centurion. Now we stand at the eastern gate, the Porta Praetoria. The night is old. It is worn thin. The heavy velvet blackness that covered the fort for hours is beginning to change. It is not lifting, not exactly. It is diluting. The sky above is no longer the color of ink. It is the color of deep ocean water, indigo, turning slowly, painfully slowly into slate gray. This is the hour the Romans called the diliculum, the little light, the dawn before the dawn. We stand on the walkway above the gate. The wood of the rampart is frosted white. The air is still freezing, perhaps colder than it was at midnight. This is the coldest hour. The earth has lost all its heat to the dark sky, and the sun has not yet returned to replenish it. But there is a shift in the feeling of the air. It feels expectant. Look at the horizon. Far away, beyond the snowy fields, beyond the dark line of the forest, there is a faint band of lighter gray. It is not a sunrise. There is no gold, no pink, no fire. It is simply a lessening of the dark. It is the wolf's light. A gray, ambiguous time where shapes are blurry and distances are deceptive. The sentry at the gate shifts his stance. He has been standing here for hours. His cloak is heavy with invisible moisture. He turns his head to the east. He sees the gray line. He nods. Nod, a tiny movement. He knows his watch is ending. He knows he has survived the night. The silence of the fort changes texture. It is no longer the deep, dead silence of sleep. It is the silence of anticipation. Somewhere deep in the camp, a door opens. Kriak. The sound carries far in the thin, cold air. Then a door closes. Thud. Someone is awake. The first movement of the day. We look down at the snow in front of the gate. Under the moonlight, it was blue and stark. Now, under the gray sky, it looks like unpolished marble. It is flat and white. The shadows are losing their sharp edges. They are dissolving into the general gloom of the morning. And then the sound comes. It is not a shout. It is not a bell. It is a horn, a cornu. It is a large, curved brass instrument shaped like the letter G. The cornison, the horn blower, stands in the center of the camp. He lifts the heavy instrument to his lips. The brass is cold, burning his mouth, but he is used to it. He takes a deep breath. He blows. Builvio. It is a low, mournful sound. It is not a sharp, aggressive call to battle. It is a long, resonant note. It sounds like a large animal calling across a valley. Boo-hoo-hoo-hoo. The sound travels out from the center of the fort. It washes over the barracks. It washes over the stables. It hits the stone walls and echoes back. Ooh-hoo. It travels out into the forest. It tells the wolves and the bears that the Roman legion is awake. It tells the trees that the night is over. Inside the barracks, the sound penetrates the dreams of the soldiers. Men stir in their bunks, rustle, shift. Blankets are pushed back, swish. There is a collective groan, the groan of 800 men waking up to a freezing morning. Up, someone whispers. Up, another replies. There is no sudden burst of activity. It is slow. It is lethargic. The men are stiff. Their joints are cold. They sit up. They rub their faces. Rub, rub. They swing their legs over the edge of the bunks. Their feet find the floor. Thump, thump. The floor is cold. They reach for their tunics. They reach for their boots. The day begins as the night ended, with the simple, repetitive tasks of existence. We drift towards the bakery, the building we visited hours ago. The doors are open now, and out of the doors comes the smell. It is the best smell in the world. Fresh bread, the panis militaris, The loaves have been baked. They are stacked in baskets. They are round, scored into 8 sections like a wheel. They are golden brown. They are hot. Steam rises from the baskets. Whoosh, thick white clouds of steam that smell of yeast and roasted wheat. The steam hits the cold morning air and billows up, surrounding the bakery in a fog of delicious warmth. 2 men carry a large basket between them. They are walking towards the barracks. Crunch, crunch. Their footsteps are purposeful. They are bringing the fuel for the day. The soldiers smell the bread. It wakes them up more than the horn did. It triggers their hunger. It triggers their life. The camp is transforming. It is no longer a graveyard of sleeping souls. It is a machine starting its engine. Slowly, grindingly, but surely. Smoke begins to rise from every chimney in the fort. Not just the bakery and not just the hospital. Every barrack room lights its fire. Puff, puff. Gray columns of smoke rise up straight into the sky. 10, 20, 50 columns of smoke. They look like pillars holding up the low, gray clouds. The smell of wood smoke thickens. It hangs over the fort like a blanket. It smells of oak and pine. It smells of civilization. We move to the stables. The horses are awake. They are standing up. They are shaking their heads. Snort, whinny. The stable hands are moving among them with buckets of grain. Rattle, the sound of dry oats hitting wooden troughs. Crunch, crunch, crunch. The sound of 80 horses eating breakfast. It is a loud, rhythmic grinding sound. A sound of contentment. The horses do not know it is winter. They only know it is morning and there is food. We move to the bathhouse. The furnace is roaring now. The slave has added new logs. The fire is bright orange. The water in the tanks is bubbling. Soon the officers will come to wash. Steam pours out of the roof vents. It joins the wood smoke in the sky. The fort is breathing, exhaling warmth into the frozen world. Back at the headquarters, the Principia, the night watch is officially relieved. The guard we saw in the shrine, the one with the lion skin, steps down. Another man steps up. They exchange a salute, clash, fist to chest. No words are spoken, none are needed. The responsibility is transferred. The eagle is safe. The night guard walks away. His shoulders slump slightly. He is tired. He is going to his bunk. He is going to sleep while the rest of the world works. His war with the cold is over for now. The light continues to grow. It is still not bright. It is a flat, whitish-gray light. It reveals the fort in all its stark reality. We can see the icicles hanging from the eaves. They are long and sharp. They look like glass daggers. We can see the snow piled up against the walls. It is dirty now in places, speckled with soot from the fires. We can see the breath of every man and animal. 1,000 small clouds of mist. The sun tries to break through the clouds in the east. It fails. It is just a pale white disk behind the veil of gray. It looks like a coin frozen in ice. There will be no warmth from the sun today. The winter has a tight grip, but it doesn't matter. The Legion has its own warmth. The fire, the wool, the bread, the work. The Centurion emerges from his quarters. He is dressed in his armor now. The iron scales are cold, but he wears a thick padded tunic underneath. He wears his transverse crest on his helmet. He holds his vine staff. He walks out into the street. He looks at the sky. He sniffs the air. Snow coming, he thinks. He nods. He walks towards his men. Clink, clink, clink. The sound of his armor moving. The day has begun. But you do not need to join them. You do not need to put on the heavy armor. You do not need to march in the snow. You do not need to answer the horn. You can stay back. We float upwards now, higher and higher. We leave the activity of the ground level. We rise above the smoke. We rise above the roofs. We rise above the tower. We look down at the fort one last time. It is a small square of order in a vast wilderness of white. It is a tiny spark of life in a sleeping continent. It is beautiful in its symmetry. Rows of white roofs, lines of gray smoke, the slow, steady movement of tiny figures. The sound of the camp fades as we go higher. The crunch of the boots becomes a whisper. The call of the horn becomes a memory. The smell of the smoke becomes faint. We are back in the clouds. The gray, soft, silent clouds. It is peaceful here. There is no time here, there is no winter, there is no summer, there is only the drift. The story of the night is over. The soldiers survived, the walls held, the fire burned. The routine continues, and it will continue tomorrow night, and the night after that, for hundreds of years. The Roman Empire is a machine of patience, and sleep is also a machine of patience. It waits for you. It is safe. It is reliable, like the stone of the fort, like the ice on the river. Let the image of the snow-covered fort fade from your mind. Let it turn into white mist. White, gray, soft, nothing.